These people are not exposed to certain information. They are not exposed. They are not exposed to certain information. And in the beginning, it's very exciting. Oh, I'm a reverend sister. Because in Africa, reverend fathers and reverend sisters are very well respected. In Africa, reverend fathers and reverend sisters are extremely respected, very well respected. It's a profession that people want to go into. They want to go into it. And it's all fun in the beginning. It's very exciting in the beginning. But at some point, they start feeling lonely. They start wanting children. They start wanting husband. The men start wanting wives. But they are stuck. They are literally stuck. Oh my goodness, they are stuck. So I have been telling you about a video. There's a video I was telling you. I have mentioned this video before. Let me play it now. And I'm going to let it play so you can hear the kind of information that these people don't have. These young people don't have that information. They don't know that what they're doing is not biblical. They don't know that this is not biblical. Not the women, not the men. They are all deceived into this profession. Now let me play that video so you can hear for yourself and hear the way that this man explained this. So the way he explains it shows you that our people have been deceived into doing this. It's complete deception.
You know, many years ago, when we were ordained as deacons and priests, we made a very solemn promise to remain celibate for the sake of the kingdom. I can imagine people asking, why can't priests get married? You get a vocation crisis. Why can't we have women priests?
Yeah.
You must get that.
I get those questions at practically every. I've done 15 of these. I mean, not a huge amount, but I've done 15 of these.
It's huge to me.
Mostly in my region, but that comes up every time. And the thing that's missing is that there's a basic distinction in law that one has to know before you can really debate those questions. And that basic distinction is the difference between divine law and ecclesiastical law. So divine law is things directly from God.
Okay.
And ecclesiastical law is things that the church has discerned over the years. So things from the Bible are divine law. So married priests, that's not divine law. It didn't come directly from God.
And don't we have some?
And we have some. You're right. It's ecclesiastical law.
Can you explain that first, because I'll get in trouble.
Okay. So we have
Before you go
some
on.
in the Eastern rites.
Okay.
We have some that come from other churches, like the Anglican rite. So we do have some married priests. It's the church rule of celibacy for most of us. And that's a church law, and in theory, could change someday.
Did you hear that? It's a church law. It's a church law. And he said, in theory, can change someday. You have brothers. Do you know that being a reverend father, being a reverend sister leads to sin? It leads to sexual sin. These people are under tremendous amount of pressure. Whenever I meet a reverend sister, eventually they're going to ask me, do you have children? That means, are you married? Do you have a wife? That's what they're actually asking me. These people are suffering under man-made law. And I love the way that this man explained this. I love the way that he explained that what they are doing is church law. It is not God's law. You can serve the Most High and still be married. You can serve the Most High and still have a husband or wife. It is better to have a husband or wife while you're serving the Most High than not to have it. Because not having it sometimes can lead to sin. especially for those who are not keeping the law. Imagine all the people that have been suffering. And this man just told you right now that this rule can change someday. It can change someday.
Rule of celibacy for most of us, and that's a church law, and in theory could change someday.
You see our sisters who are becoming reverend sisters, our sisters, Hebrew women who become reverend sisters. They become reverend sisters and they decide not to ever get married again. They decide not to ever get married uh, when they become a reverend sister. Uh, so, and that's not good. That's not good because the scripture did not say that a woman shouldn't get married or that a man shouldn't get married. That is a pagan, something we learn from the heathen. That's something we learn from the heathen. Okay. So we have a situation where you have our sisters. These are our beautiful sisters who fall into Catholic, Catholic Church. Then they decide that they don't want to get married again. They will not get married. As I'm speaking to you, I know two sisters, two reverend sisters. I know that they want to get out. I know that they would like to get out. I know it. And I would like to help them to get out. But if I tell them, I'm going to help you get out of, I'll get out of the, I'm going to help you get out of being a sister. If I tell them that, they're going to be like, no, no, they would, I know that they want to get out, but they're stuck because they've been deceived into becoming a reverend sister. They have been deceived. Whenever you see a picture like this, you always see our enemies in that picture. You always see our enemies. They are always there. They are always there. Always. These women have been deceived, completely brainwashed and deceived. One of them you see here have decided not to get married. Is that biblical? No, absolutely not. It's not biblical. There's no chapter, there's no verse that says that a woman cannot get married. There's no chapter or verse. Even the Catholics will tell you that it's not biblical. It's not in the Bible. They've all been deceived into deciding not to ever get married. And you always see these devils that have came and brainwashed them. They're always around. They go back to their country, they're a bunch of prostitutes. These are a bunch of whores in their various European countries. They come to Africa and making our women not to get married. It's very sad. And these women suffer. They suffer from the consequences of not being married. I understand if you're above 50. Okay, if you're above 50 and that's not a big deal. But to be young, to be at the age of 17, 18, and you're not going to get married again, that's horrible. I have spoken to people who are reverend sisters. I know that they want to get out. If I talk to a reverend sister, one of the first questions that they ask me is, do you have children? That means something. Do you have children? That question means, I know what it means. These people are suffering inside of them. They are suffering because they've been deceived. They've been tricked into choosing this lifestyle. Is there a chapter and verse, even in the so-called New Testament? Even in the so-called New Testament, is there a chapter and verse that say that women should not get married? Zero. They've been deceived. And it's all fun in the beginning. It's all fun in the beginning, but after 5 years, after 10 years, they start feeling like a woman. They want to have children, but they can't have children. Many of them, of course, will go and begin having sex with reverend fathers behind the scenes. There needs to be a ministry to get these people out. My hands are full right now. My hands are full. If I ever have a lot of things I would like to do, if I ever get this stuff I need to do, get them done, I would like to have a ministry established, create like a squad, create a team, dedicated men and women who will dedicate their life on rescuing our brothers and sisters, rescuing these people. They have to be rescued. They have to be rescued. Wage a campaign to get them out of this lifestyle. But at the same time, I think to myself, why would you even want to get them out? Why would you even want to get them out of this Catholic wicked doctrine? If you get them out, what are they going to do? They're going to want to get married. Yeah, that could be fine if they are still a virgin, then they could freely get married. But if they are no longer virgins, then you're getting them out of this, and you're actually getting them into sin. Because as soon as they renounce this thing, as soon as they get out, next thing they want to get married. But they've already been with like 3 or 4 reverend fathers already, because those reverend fathers don't get married too. Now, if you're a reverend father, who is the best person for you to have sex with? Go and have sex with a regular woman outside in the world, a regular woman in the world. If you get her pregnant, she will expose you as a reverend father. If you're a reverend father, the best person for you to have sex with is a reverend sister, and she's the one that is closest to you because you guys are working together in the church. You're working together. She cannot get married. If she gets pregnant, she will definitely have an abortion and then go and pray, ask for forgiveness, as they have been taught. So there's a lot of stuff going on between these reverend sisters and reverend fathers. A lot of stuff is going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. A lot going on behind the scenes. Should these things be happening? No. Do a woman have to choose not to get married? No. There's no law that say a woman should not get married. There's no law. Now, if a woman like Hannah, if a woman decides that she doesn't want to get married, fine. If a man decides that she doesn't want to get married, okay, fine. That's okay. If they choose to, if they choose not to get married, then that's their choice. And when the time comes to face the consequences, they will face the consequences knowing that they made that choice. They chose to do this because there are consequences. So what is the consequences? The consequences is that at some point you will start feeling like a woman. You will want to have your own children. You will want to have your own husband. Marriage is not all about sex. Marriage is a lot much more, much more than sex. It's about companion. It's about being a mother, being a father. It's about a lot of things. And at some point, these people begin to have those feelings. They start having feelings. But oftentimes they're stuck. They're stuck in this system because they've all been deceived. They've all been deceived into this system, into living this lifestyle. They've been deceived into it and they are stuck. So we don't have any way to help these people out. Now, let me tell you something, my brothers and sisters. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Let me tell you something, my brothers and sisters. Please listen to this. Listen to this. Listen. If what these people are doing is biblical, listen closely, my brothers and sisters. If what these people are doing is biblical, by deciding not to get married and becoming a reverend sister, if this is biblical, my brothers and sisters, I guarantee you, the Europeans, white people, would have created organization. They would have created organization, raising money, to go around making videos on YouTube, making videos, they would have created organization that will go around convincing these people to stop becoming reverend sisters. They would have done it. I told you we're in a war. If what they're doing is biblical, these animals would have created organization. These animals you see here is here to encourage them to continue doing this rubbish. Do you know that? These animals, these Babylonians are here encouraging them. They are here on a solidarity tour. On a solidarity tour to encourage them to keep on doing this thing. That's why they're here. If this is biblical, they would have been waging war like they do with virginity in Africa, like they do with virginity. That is what they do. They are waging war, especially on South Africa, to abolish virginity testing. To abolish virginity testing in South Africa. They are waging war. Now, how many organizations do we, you cannot look at this thing and tell me that this is biblical. It is not biblical. It's not biblical. And even, I'm going to see if I can show you a video because I've seen that video before. You will see the Catholics that will tell you. Even Reverend Fathers or Catholic people will tell you that it's not biblical. Now, how many organizations do we have to do stuff to get our people out of this thing? It's a campaign. A campaign. We're supposed to have a campaign, creating awareness. I know exactly what to do. I just don't have the time. My hands are full. I am only one. I know exactly how to wage a campaign. I know exactly what to do. Making videos, the kind of videos to make, how to present it, how to put out information, the information to put out. I know exactly what to do so that our brothers and sisters will start seeing those videos and begin to come out of this mess. It's a mess. We don't have that organization. We are busy. And when I say we, I'm talking about generally. I'm talking about our people. I'm talking about Hebrews worldwide. Hebrews worldwide. We are busy. We are busy doing everything but what we should supposed to be doing. We do everything with what other than what we're supposed to do. We focus on doing everything while these animals are very busy serving their father. Very, very good. I'm telling you, they are very good with serving their father. They are very, very good, and I give them credit. They do a very good job. They definitely do a better job than us. We need to have a campaign, have dedicated people, just like these animals dedicate their life to serving their father, Satan. Think about it. What are they doing in Africa? Just think about it. Think about it. Why is it whenever you see, why is it, my brothers and sisters, do you know that this is the first time I'm seeing this picture? Do you know this is the first time? Why is it that, think about this, why is it that whenever I am condemning something, you always see white people around that thing? Now, let me show you. Look, I didn't take this picture. I did not take it. This is not a film trick. This is not a movie. This is not a movie. Somebody took this picture. Those of you that know Catholic Church, those of you that know Catholic, do you know what they're doing over there? Do you know what's going on over here? Do you know what they're doing? They're doing something right here. Don't worry about their looks. I will talk about their looks later. We will discuss the looks. What are they doing right here? If you know Catholic Church, what are they doing?
Communion. You're taking communion.
Exactly, Holy Communion, which is fake, by the way, because the Holy Communion, The Holy Communion that Yeshua took was Passover. They ate Passover. They have replaced Passover with this rubbish. It was part of Passover that Christ and his disciples ate. Passover lamb. They were not drinking French wine. They were not drinking French wine. There was no French wine. There was no red wine at that time. The wine that the Most High gave us is palm wine. Now, let's talk about their looks. Somebody obviously took the picture. And somebody noticed that something is not right with their looks. Something is not right. This is not a regular look. It's not a regular look. There's something going on between these two people. There's something going on. This is not how you look. This is not how you look at a brother in a normal circumstances. Where you guys are minding your business, doing the work of God. You don't look at a brother like that. There's something personal between these two people. She's not smiling. She's not smiling. He is smiling. This look shows that they have a very different kind of relationship. They know each other much more than they know each other, much more than right here inside this house. And that is the sin that goes on because of a lie that we've come to believe from our enemies. I know that if this is biblical, the Europeans would have started a campaign, just like they have a campaign encouraging young people to become reverend sisters. They have a campaign encouraging them. If this is biblical, and it's okay to become a reverend sister and not get married, if it's biblical, I know that the Europeans would have also created a system, an organization by which they are going to be waging campaign. They are going to be waging campaign to discourage our sisters from becoming a reverend sister. They will be waging a campaign. I was in a bank. Oh my goodness. And I saw this young woman. I saw this young woman who is a reverend sister. She was really young to be a reverend sister. Oh my goodness. She was really young. She was really young. And what happens because of the stigma? Because when you become a reverend sister, it's publicized. All your family members will know. All your villagers. Everybody knows you are a reverend sister. So it makes it difficult for you to get out. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to get out. It's so difficult to get out. Because it's like if you get out, it's like you have failed God. You have failed God. That's how they see it. That is how they see it. Before I came here today, before I started talking to you, if you ask me, I didn't even know I was going to be doing this. I didn't even know I was going to be doing this. I didn't even know. And I also don't believe in coincidence. I also do not believe in coincidence. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why we're doing this right now. And like as I said, my hands are full at this very moment. I cannot start any campaign on this thing. But in the future, Yazulin, I will definitely try to do something, even if it's just a limited time. I cannot dedicate my life now on this thing. I cannot dedicate my life because I have other stuff that I'm also doing. But we need to have a situation. We need to have wage a campaign to rescue our people, to rescue them from this. This thing lead to sin. Salvatorian Sisters International. That's real. Celebration in Congo and Tanzania. Congratulations to the sisters who made their first and final profession, who renewed their vows, and who entered the Novotiat, Tanzania newly professed sisters. These are young people, young women. Actually, they're not young. In the Hebrew culture, they're not young. In the Hebrew culture, they're old actually. They're actually really old in the Hebrew culture. Because in the Hebrew culture, every one of them should have at least 2 children already, going on the third one. Because in the Hebrew culture, a woman gets married once she starts seeing her monthly period. That's it. Time to go. Once she starts seeing her monthly period, she's ready to go and be somebody's wife. So it would be nice, and I would like to stir up somebody's spirit. I would like to stir up somebody's spirit. I don't know who you are, where you are. We need to have a campaign. We need to have a ministry to rescue our people. It's not going to take much. This kind of campaign will be online because most people are online already. It's a way, it's a campaign. This is something I'm going to need to, in order to do this, I will need to focus. I know exactly what to do. And yeah, the Most High God will reveal even more information on what to do. How to craftily, how to craftily, in a crafty way, very deliberate, create information that will be like in a video that can easily be sent to these people. They can watch it. At least they will know that there is nowhere in the Bible that say that they have to not get married. Because some of them, they start doing this stuff and they're still virgins. Usually when they start, they're virgins, but eventually they end up doing stuff like this. Because like as I said before, think about it though. Think about it. These ones are deceived. The men are deceived that you cannot get married. If you want to serve God, you cannot get married. The reverend fathers are deceived that they cannot get married. The reverend sisters are deceived. So there's a huge stigma. They cannot quit. Most of them cannot quit. What actually happens in Africa is that sometimes they go and they marry somebody in secret. They marry a woman and go keep her in a different state. They keep her in a different place while they are in a different place practicing as a reverend father. They are practicing over there, but they have a wife in secret. They have a secret wife. They do that sometimes. They do it. So, like as I said, they are not allowed to get married by the so-called church. Now, they still have to have sex. Your body doesn't care whether you have a wife or not. Your body doesn't care if you're a reverend father or not. Your body does not care. When you have to go, you have to go. When you have to do it, you have to do it. Same thing with the women. Your body does not care whether you're a reverend sister or not. When you need a man, you need a man. That's one of the reasons why you need a husband. That's one of the reasons why he needs a wife. So they are deceived into this cult, this paganism, which is not biblical. They're deceived into it. So as they get deceived into it, it's like a trap. They fall into the trap. Now they're stuck because everybody in their town, their village, their relatives know that they are reverend father or reverend sister, and that they have committed themselves. They have committed themselves to serving God forever. So it's very hard to get out. If you get out, you look bad. But you still have to have sex though. You still need companion. You still need someone to talk to because marriage is not all about sex. There's a lot of stuff involved in marriage, which is the reason why that a lot of these men, some of them will go and marry a woman in secret, keep her in a different place, and people will not know. Sometimes it leaks out. So, and people do quit. Sisters do quit. Sisters do quit sometimes, but it's so hard to quit. So hard. My main concern is that what happens is that, again, like as I said before, this brother right here, this man right here, and all the reverend fathers out there, they still have to have sex because it's a natural thing. There's nothing wrong with sex as long as you're having it with your wife or your husband. They cannot go out and go look for a prostitute because they get exposed. They're scared. They cannot go to regular people, although sometimes they do go to their members. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they do go to their members. Like a story I saw this morning. A story that I saw this morning. This morning I saw a story. I didn't even know I was going to be doing this right now. I didn't even know we're going to be doing what we're doing right now, but I did saw a story. I saw a story of a man who is on the run right now. He's on the run because he impregnated a member of his church, and he ran. He's on the run after getting the girl pregnant. He's on the run. So what happens is that these people get tricked. Our people are tricked. They get into this stuff without knowing what they're doing. I'm telling you. They get into this stuff without knowing what they're doing. This is a story I saw. This story right here. Pastor gets his spiritual daughter pregnant. Pastor declared wanted after impregnating 15 years old daughter of his church member. The man whose picture appears above is known as Apostle Dr. Moses E. Etim. He is from Akwa Ibom State, and he is the Apostle Mountain Zion Lighthouse Full Gospel Church at Ondo State. He is reported to have ran back to Akwa Ibom State. So our people are tricked into this stuff, into going this way and living this kind of lifestyle, not knowing that it's not biblical. Even though it's not biblical, it is not biblical. Now let me see. I'm going to try and see. There's a particular information I want to see if I can show you, because I would like you to hear from the mouth of these same people that have come and taught us this rubbish. The people that came and taught us this, I'm going to see if I can show you right now, so you can hear from them that no, it's not biblical. It's not biblical. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says to do this. Just give me like a minute. Let me pull up that information right now. These other information that I showed you was easy for me to pull up. This one is not going to be so easy. I'm going to need about a minute to pull this information up and show you, so you can see. They will tell you themselves. They will tell you that this is not biblical. So we have to get our people out of this mess. This is part of what it means to serve the Most High. Trying to wake up our people, because they're in darkness, just like us. We were also in darkness, and the law of the Most High is the light. So this is the video I was talking about. I saw this video maybe like a year ago or so, and this is something that most of our people don't know. They don't know this. They don't know what this man is admitting here. Okay, our people need to know this. I'm telling you, they're tricked. They're deceived into going into this, going into this lifestyle. They're literally deceived. Okay, they think that they're dedicating themselves to serving God. No, the Most High wants you to get married. The Most High wants you to get married. These people don't know this. Many of them will be shocked. They will be shocked to find this out. Many of our people don't know, especially when they're young. Come on, they're young, right? Like as I said, these people are not young. They're supposed to all have husbands. Every one of them. I'm telling you, they are at least, these people that you see here is from the age of 17. They are from nobody here is less than 17. Nobody is less than 17. Maybe this one is 17. These people are they are above 17. They are no longer kids. In the Hebrew culture, they're supposed to be thinking about having their third baby at this point. These people are not exposed to certain information. They are not exposed. They are not exposed to certain information. And in the beginning, it's very exciting. Oh, I'm a reverend sister. Because in Africa, reverend fathers and reverend sisters are very well respected. In Africa, reverend fathers and reverend sisters are extremely respected, very well respected. It's a profession that people want to go into. They want to go into it. And it's all fun in the beginning. It's very exciting in the beginning. But at some point, they start feeling lonely. They start wanting children. They start wanting husband. The men start wanting wives. But they are stuck. They are literally stuck. Oh my goodness, they are stuck. So I have been telling you about a video. There's a video I was telling you. I have mentioned this video before. Let me play it now. And I'm going to let it play so you can hear the kind of information that these people don't have. These young people don't have that information. They don't know that what they're doing is not biblical. They don't know that this is not biblical. Not the women, not the men. They are all deceived into this profession. Now let me play that video so you can hear for yourself and hear the way that this man explained this. So the way he explains it shows you that our people have been deceived into doing this. It's complete deception.
You know, many years ago, when we were ordained as deacons and priests, we made a very solemn promise to remain celibate for the sake of the kingdom. I can imagine people asking, why can't priests get married? You get a vocation crisis. Why can't we have women priests?
Yeah.
You must get that.
I get those questions at practically every. I've done 15 of these. I mean, not a huge amount, but I've done 15 of these.
It's huge to me.
Mostly in my region, but that comes up every time. And the thing that's missing is that there's a basic distinction in law that one has to know before you can really debate those questions. And that basic distinction is the difference between divine law and ecclesiastical law. Divine law is things directly from God.
Okay.
And ecclesiastical law is things that the church has discerned over the years. So things from the Bible are divine law. So married priests, that's not divine law. It didn't come directly from God.
And don't we have some?
And we have some. You're right. It's ecclesiastical law.
Can you explain that first, because I'll get in trouble.
Okay. So we have
Before you go
some
on.
in the Eastern rites.
Okay.
We have some that come from other churches, like the Anglican rite. So we do have some married priests. It's the church rule of celibacy for most of us, and that's a church law, and in theory could change someday.
Did you hear that? It's a church law. It's a church law. And he said, in theory, can change someday. You have brothers. Do you know that being a reverend father, being a reverend sister leads to sin? It leads to sexual sin. These people are under tremendous amount of pressure. Whenever I meet a reverend sister, eventually they're going to ask me, do you have children? That means, are you married? Do you have a wife? That's what they're actually asking me. These people are suffering under man-made law. And I love the way that this man explained this. I love the way that he explained that what they are doing is church law. It is not God's law. You can serve the Most High and still be married. You can serve the Most High and still have a husband or wife. It is better to have a husband or wife while you're serving the Most High than not to have it. Because not having it sometimes can lead to sin, especially for those who are not keeping the law. Imagine all the people that have been suffering. And this man just told you right now that this rule can change someday. It can change someday.
Rule of celibacy for most of us, and that's a church law, and in theory could change someday. Divine law can't change. The church is never going to say, we've decided to change the Ten Commandments. Ten Commandments came from God. You don't change them. The fact that we use wheat at the Eucharist, can't change it. Came directly from Jesus. Now, the married priest, women priests issue is divine law. Has nothing to do with fairness, has nothing to do with competence, because of course women could be wonderful priests. It's the fact that Jesus created 12 apostles who were all men. So if I get them thinking about why we have this rule and away from this is not fair, now they can debate correctly, because they can debate, is it divine law or not? But if you're stuck on this is not fair, it's apples and oranges, the debate. So in these meetings and in this format today, that distinction between ecclesiastical law, church law, divine law, something directly from God, is extremely important, so I can teach how to approach the question.
Yeah. And they're right. What they're following is church law. Who made church law? Human beings. It's a man-made law. It's a man-made law. That's what they're following. But then, here is the problem. These people get into plane. They fly into Africa. And they're presenting this and encouraging people to do this. They came to Africa and encouraged people to do this as if this is divine. These young people don't know this. They don't know this. They do not know this. They don't understand. They need to see this video, and it has to be explained to them. They need to see this video, and it needs to be explained to them. As I'm speaking right now, idea is coming to my head. The only thing standing in my way right now is time and finance. Because I have all the stuff that are also important that I want to focus on. But it would be nice to organize a conference, organize a seminar, and invite these people. We have to be crafty. Organize that that seminar. Organize it as something for priests or something for reverend sisters to get them through the door. They come in. Then we explain to them. Then we just simply let this video play. We let this video play. They will hear for themselves. We're not asking you to go out there and go marry a wife if you're a man. We're not asking you to jump out there and go and go and become a wife. We're simply letting you know that you have this option. And this option is God's law. As this man beautifully explained here. As he beautifully explained. And I like it when they are honest. This is why I show that video I show on my Sabbath videos. I like to use their words against them. And he explained it beautifully. He admitted that what they are following is man-made law. The problem is that our brothers and sisters don't know that. Many of them do not know this. They don't know this. They just don't know. They just don't know. We're simply letting you know that just this is the truth. You don't have to be a reverend sister to serve God. You don't have to be a reverend father to serve God. Because the truth be told, you are suffering. Sometimes you're lonely. And it's true. Sometimes you're horny. It's true. Sometimes you wish you have a child or children. That's true also. But you're stuck. Then I really, really pray that this will be possible. So if you happen to watch this, as you can tell, if you listen to me, you know that there are some things that I'm very passionate about. This is one of the things that we also need to do. We need to have a system, a campaign, which Yazuli, I'm going to do it anyway, whether I get people or not. I'm going to do it. I just can't do it right now because I'm just focused on other things right now. We need to create a system, create something to help our people. If after watching, after listening, after getting the information, the brother or the sister decide that they want to continue, fine, go ahead. But at least we have shown you the truth. You have seen the light. Because many of them don't know this. They just don't know this. They don't know. They simply don't know. They actually think that they think that they are obligated to be there. They think that they have to do this way. First four from Tanzania make their first profession in Bethany congregation. Look at these young women. Look at these young women. Like as I said, actually in our culture, they are not young. Okay? In the Hebrew culture, these are old women. They are not young. There's nobody here less than 17. They are at least 16, 17, 18 years old. And like as I told you the other day, they like to get them young. And once they profess their profession to be a sister, they cannot get married. The sister can equally serve the Most High without having to give up her God-given right to be a wife or a mother. They can still serve the Most High. They don't have to do it this way. But the way it's been presented, the way that it has been presented to them is that you have to, you have to, give up. You have to um, do this in order to be able to serve God. You cannot have a husband or a wife. So it is presented to them in a very crafty way, in a very, very crafty, deceptive way, where it is presented to them as if this is biblical. Of course, our people don't know. They don't know. They just don't know. I don't blame them. I don't blame these people. I will never in my life blame a reverend father or a reverend sister. I will never blame them because they simply don't know. They just don't know. They just don't know. I'm telling you, they just don't know. They have been deceived. Now, let me show you something in First Timothy. I want to show you something. This is actually really sad. I want to show you something. Look at this. First Timothy chapter 2. This is very sad. And once you see this, then you will understand why I'm kind of concerned about this. First Timothy chapter 2. Look at what it says. First Timothy chapter 2 from verse 11. I'll start from verse 8. Let me start from verse 8. First Timothy chapter 2 from verse 8. What I'm about to show you right now is very sad. Very, very sad. What I'm about to show you is towards the end of this chapter. But I'll start from verse 8. I desire then that in every place the men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger and quarreling. Likewise, 1 Timothy 2:9. Likewise, also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly attire, but with what is proper for women professing godliness, with good works. Let a woman learn quietly with all submissiveness. I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet, for Adam was formed first, then Eve. Verse 14, Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and became a transgressor. Now look at verse 15. I want to show you verse 15, but this verse 15 is not going to make sense. If I had came and read 1 Timothy 2:15, it will not make any sense. That's why I had to start from verse 8. So you can see the reason why you have verse 15. This verse 15 is as a result of everything we read here. Verse 15, yet she will be saved through childbearing. She. So who is she? Women. Women. A woman will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith and love and holiness with self-control. Now, let me ask you, when it says that a woman will be saved through childbearing, what does that mean? Who knows? What does that mean? When it says that a woman will be saved through childbearing, what does that mean?
The woman will be saved um, through the ability to bear children. But yeah, so as it comes on to the end, it says, once she continues in faith and love and holiness. So once she continues in this stuff, she's saved because she has the ability to bring forth children.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, for a woman to be saved, one of the things that they have to do is to bear children. In order for a woman to be saved and be allowed into the kingdom of the Most High, one of the things that she has to do is to bear children. Now, if a woman cannot bear a child, that's not her fault. It is not her fault. But a woman that can bear a child, who decides that she doesn't want to have a child, that's sin. That's basically that is against let me put it this way, that's against the will of the Most High. It is the will of the Most High that women should have children. It is the will of the Most High that we should procreate. So a man that can procreate but decide not to procreate and have children is going against the will of the Most High. A woman that can procreate and have a child, but she chooses not to have a child, is going against the will of the Most High. According to Titus chapter or 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, one of the things that a woman has to do in order to have salvation is that she has to have a child. In order to have a child, she has to have a husband. In order to have a child. These people have been deceived into not having a husband. These people have been deceived into not having a husband. They have been deceived into not having a husband. And what happens? The result is that actually they're not going to have salvation. Because as it says here, that one of the things a woman can do is she will be saved through childbearing. But what if she can have a child and she decides not to have a child? Many of them have been deceived into this. And they usually go after the young. They go after the young. That's why I told you that you notice that normally you see the Europeans promoting these things. You have these things all over the world. You have this system. You have this belief. You have this rubbish doctrine, this wicked doctrine we have today. The reason why we have it is because of the Europeans. It's because of the Europeans. When was the last time? When was the last time you saw a reverend father or reverend sister in America? For those of you that live in America, those of you that live in the Western country, you hardly see them. You hardly see them. Why? Because they don't promote this garbage the way they promote it in Africa. They do not promote this nonsense in their countries the way they promote it in Africa. They do not. Our sisters are being held hostage. Our brothers are being held hostage. This is sad. This is sad. This is not a good news. This is actually really bad. These people are suffering. These people are suffering. I'm telling you, at some point in a woman's life, she starts desiring to have children. These people are suffering. They get trapped into this thing and then they get stuck. They literally get stuck. They can't get out. They're suffering. When we finally, in our school, one of the things I'm going to do is to create a squad. Create a squad of men and women who will dedicate themselves into rescuing our people. That will be their work. To be a squad of people, very active online. There will also be those who will be on the ground. Create a very, very effective information, effective brochure, effective booklet. Create a very nice booklet with lots of biblical information in there, like this man that I showed you, like this man over here, taking a picture of him, putting it in that booklet, taking his words, putting it in that booklet to educate our people, going to churches, tracking down reverend sisters and handing it over to them. Because there will be war. There will be some of our people who love blindness. Some of our people some of our people who love darkness. They will not allow you to come and rescue our people. They will not allow you. So how do you go after these reverend sisters and reverend fathers? You print booklet and you go over there and you hand it over to them. We can do this stuff. We can do it. I have done it in the past. I remember about 17 years ago. It was about 16, 17 years ago. I was in one congregation. When I tried to share information about the lunar Sabbath. The people in that congregation, they refuse. The leaders refuse. They refuse. I withdrew. Like it's like I wanted to share the information. It's like they fought. They fought. They didn't want to have it. They did not want their member to hear it. They did not want their member to hear it. So I went and began to put information together on a piece of paper. I began to arrange it. At that time, I bought I have an office. At that time, you don't have YouTube the way you have YouTube right now. I mean, YouTube was around at that time, but YouTube was like a place to go to watch cat video. At that time, videos are only 10 minutes. You cannot upload video more than 10 minutes at that time on YouTube. So I had this thing that I bought. I had a printer like this that I bought at that time. Huge printer. So I will put information together and then I will take it. I remember taking it and went back to that congregation. I went back to that congregation and I went to the garage where they park their car. I went to where they parked their car and I was putting it in their car. I was putting the information in their car. So I was going straight to my target. My target was the members of that congregation. The leader or the leaders of that congregation did not want me to share this with their members. They didn't want me to share this. So I had a printer like this, almost the same size, all huge like this. I bought the printer because I was printing stuff about the Sabbath. I print it out. At that time, I was doing it on paper. Now I make YouTube videos. Back then, I wasn't doing it on YouTube. That was about I think it was about 16, 17 years ago or so. So I had to buy something like this so I can be able to print this stuff, print it and staple it and just hand it over to people with the picture of the moon and stuff like that, and the scripture, the information about the moon and things like that. I print it out and I just hand it over to people. All I have to do is to just change the ink, buy the paper. That was how I was doing it. Now, I went straight to the people. So it would be nice to have something we can put together, which I'm going to try to do, Yah's willing, where put a package together, something very simple, very nice, very clean, easy to understand, and just go around and hand it over to these sisters. I'm telling you, I know for a fact that many of them, when they receive it, they will hide it. They will not show it to anybody. Not all of them, because some of them will be, they're already lost. Some of them who are suffering, because I know they're suffering, they are very, very emotional. They want to have a husband, but they can't. They would like to have a husband. They would like to have children, but they've been deceived into thinking that they can't. Some of them will hide that information, and when they're alone, they will read it. And all I want them to know is that you don't have to be this way. You have options. And who knows, this kind of information might even open their eyes to start seeing other truth. Here are other things we've been lied to. We have been lied to as to who we are. We are actually the Hebrews. We are actually the Hebrews. You are daughters of Israelites. And if you want to serve the Most High, that's fine. If you want to serve God, that's fine. After all, Hannah served the Most High in Luke chapter 2 from verse 36. He served the Most High. She served the Most High. There's nothing wrong if you want to serve the Most High the right way. But you don't have to be stuck in this situation to serve the Most High. And we are Israelites. We are supposed to keep the law. Look the way they dress. The only reason why they dress like this is because they are Reverend sisters. If they were not Reverend sisters, they would be dressing like prostitutes, like most women dress today, wearing trousers, jeans, wearing tight clothes. You see how they dress moderately. See how they dress moderately. Because they know that this is how women dress in the scripture, wearing loose clothes. If they were not Reverend sisters, they would never dress like this. You're going to be seeing tight jeans, short skirt, tight this and tight that, and short jeans and jeans this and jeans that. So letting them know that they actually have an option. They don't have to be single. They don't have to be by themselves. Letting them know this is just the beginning. By that, we also let them know other stuff we've been lied to. We actually have to keep the law. We are actually Israelites. We actually have to keep the Sabbath and many other things. The Europeans would have been doing this already. The Europeans would have been doing this already. They would have been waging this campaign already. They would have been doing this already. Here's the mockery. Look at the mockery. Look, that's a mockery. This is supposed to be a movie, a mocking, because people know what is going on. I've never watched the movie. This is the first time I'm seeing this. But this is the understanding that we have about Reverend sisters. We know that they want sex. We know that they want sex. We know that. That's why you have a movie like this. That's why there are movies like this. That's why I say that. That was why I mentioned that this kind of lifestyle leads to sin. It leads to sin. That's what it leads to. Here we have a sister that got delivered. This Catholic sister left her devotion and married a police officer. Happy married life to them. That was how when she was a reverend sister. And then she left and got married. She left. To have a husband. And that's fine. That is fine. If that's fine. Now, I don't know if this was a joke or if it's real, because you know how the internet can be sometimes. Internet can be with Photoshop. You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there about this story. This story of these two people right here, but this is very common because this practice of Reverend Sister and Reverend Father is huge in Africa. It's very, very big in Africa. So oftentimes you see mockery. You might see movies or stories online like this one. That's a movie, Romantic Reverend Sisters. So people just imagine stuff and they make movies, but it's not a joke. What we're dealing with here is not a joke. These people are suffering. I know that they are suffering. They will never admit that they're suffering. They will never admit that they are suffering, but they are suffering. These, our sisters and our brothers, are suffering. They work in motherless babies' homes. They work with orphans. They help out orphans and abandoned children. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. That's what I'm saying, that you can actually serve the Most High. You can actually serve the Most High. A sister can still work with abandoned children. You don't have to give up having a husband in order to do that. So, what I am talking about and what I'm doing is kind of tricky. It's tricky in the sense that when they are young, when these so-called reverend sisters, when they are young, like what you see on the screen, those of you who don't know, it's also known as nuns, Catholic nuns. We call them reverend sisters, but they're also known as nuns. When they are young, they are often virgins. When they are young, they are often virgins. But as time goes on, they lose their virginity to reverend fathers. They lose their virginity to anybody they can have sex with in secret. So again, getting them out to quit and come out, they're just going to jump from fire pan to fire. Because if she lost her virginity and she's been with other men multiple times, that means that she cannot get married. So she might as well just stay over there in the Catholic and continue being a nun. But even if that's the case, we should still show them the light for them to get out. We should still help our brothers and sisters to see the light that we have seen. We have seen the light. The Most High have shown us the light. He has shown us the light. We should help our people to also see the light. There's definitely needs to be a campaign, and I'm calling on my brothers and sisters who have seen the light. If you are a lawkeeper and you want to serve the Most High, one of the ways you can do that too is to help out in a ministry to rescue our people. It's a system I'm eventually going to set up, Yah's willing. I'm going to set up the children in our school to have a squad, to have a team that will be waging war, mostly online. Because this is a war, psychological war, spiritual war, information war. Why is it information war? Showing things like this. Eventually, I'm going to create a team, Yah's willing, of young people that will dedicate their life, at least 20, 30, 40 years of their life. And this will be their own way of serving Yah to rescue our people, especially the young ones. You want to target the young ones. Go around seminaries, distributing information. Are we going to save everybody? No. Do we want to save everybody? No. We should simply try and do our best and leave the rest for the Most High. We do our best, we get out of the way. We join our ancestors. Those that will come before us will continue doing the work. That is why I'm beginning to focus on the younger ones, to set up these young men to continue from where we stop. Because very soon, we are going to join our ancestors. None of us is going to be here 100 years from now. None of us are going to be here 100 years from now. But we can create those who will be here 100 years from now. We can prepare them. We can prepare those that will be here 100 years from now. If you set up these young people from the age of 9, 10, raise them, they will serve ya for the next 30 years. Next 40 years, they will serve ya. 30, 40 years, they will serve ya. Before they leave, they will set up other people. So literally 100 years from now, you have people who are serving Yah very effectively, very mightily because of us. That Yah used us to set them up. So there's a way I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking what's good, what happens after my life. That's how I'm thinking right now. What happens after my life? I was thinking because of the limitations that I have. I thought to myself about starting the school. There was a thought that came to my mind, maybe like to suspend it or something like that or whatever. And I was so terrified that the thought of not doing it terrified me. It's very, very important to have that system so that our brothers and sisters will be able to go out and do what's necessary to wake up our brothers and sisters, wake up these people from this spiritual bondage that they're in. So again, I don't have a lot of people that listen to me, but I know that there are some of you that do listen. If you happen to be listening to this and you have interest in serving Yah in this way, you let me know. I may not be ready to do it right now because I'm focusing on other things, but definitely, and I think this is actually easy for us to do because all needs to be done is to create good information. I know if I keep quiet and stay in and focus, if I focus, I can create a very good information. I don't do videos like as I used to. I don't do videos because my attention is divided right now. Walk, 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 walk. I have to walk. But if I sit still and focus, I can actually put something good together. And our people, like a documentary or something, like a documentary, gather information, find reverend sisters, reverend father who have quit, interview them, put a documentary together, and then go after the younger ones before they fall in deep into this bondage. And then at some point, even after we are gone, people will continue to share that video. People will continue to share that booklet. What I'm telling you, I know that if this is biblical, the Europeans would have been doing exactly what I'm telling you right now. Just like they are fighting to stop virginity testing in Africa. They would have been stopping this. They would have been stopping this already. They would have been saying that this is against human right. They would have been saying that this is against woman's right. They would have been saying that this is horrible. They would have been saying that encouraging a woman not to get married is brainwashing. They would have been saying that encouraging a woman not to get married is brainwashing. It's called. It's against women's right. I'm telling you, they would have been doing it. The reason why they're not doing it is because this is not biblical. And they're promoting it. Our people are going into bondage. This is not good. It's not good. So again, if there's any brother or sister out there and you would like to, this touches you and you want to focus on something like this, me right now, I'm like all over. There are a lot of good things I would like to do. A lot of good things, a lot of things. You want to do this, you want to do this, you want to do this, you want to do that. So my attention is divided. and I'm not focusing the way I'm supposed to, which is very sad, which I don't like that. But this is something very important that we need to focus on, rescuing our brothers and sisters, rescuing them from this bondage. How do we rescue them? Do we have to go over there and drag them out by force? Of course not. This is a spiritual war. They are deceived into going into this lifestyle with information. They are deceived with information. We can only rescue them with information. Are we going to rescue all of them? No. That shouldn't be our focus. But the truth is the truth. And the truth speaks for itself. We don't have to say much. All we have to do is to gather information, lay it out there, and then put it together in a way that anybody, in fact, after you and I are gone, after you and I are gone and have joined our ancestors, we have paved the way. People can simply be sharing that information. People can simply be sharing it. Before you know it, you see somebody else who come from this world, and he or she will take it upon themselves to continue from where we stopped, continue sharing that information. It's something that we definitely need to have. And I thank our Heavenly Father for opening our eyes, for opening our eyes. And his law was the light. The law of the Most High was the light that opened our eyes to begin to see the truth. It is the law, like it says in the scriptures, your law is a light unto my your law is a light unto my feet. The Lord of the Most High have opened our eyes. Now unfortunately we do have brothers and sisters who are in bondage, who are also who doesn't know this thing. They just don't know this thing. I don't even blame them. I'm telling you. I don't even blame these people. I don't even blame them. I'm telling you, they are so innocent. They are so innocent. They have no idea what they're doing. They just don't know. In their mind, they are serving God. They don't even know that the path that they have taken is a path that will deny them salvation. They don't even know when I see a face like this, I see a face of innocence. She's innocent. She doesn't know what she's doing. They've all been deceived. None of them decided by themselves to do this. They have been tricked. They have been tricked into joining this. And there is, as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, there is zero organization, zero organization who are trying to rescue our people in this bondage. Zero. These are the kind of things we should be focusing on. At some point, we have to grow past the point of, oh, we are Israelite. I'm an Israelite. We're Israelite. We have to actually get to work. We have to get to work. So that's the kind of thing that we need to do. And I know that if we start doing it, the Most High will provide more opportunity. We will begin to go to them where they are, go to their seminaries, go to their schools. And before you know it, the Most High will doors, open doors that will make it uh, much more easy for the message to be able to get out. Because you know what? The truth of the matter is that this is part of what we had to go through as Israelites. It's part of what we have to go through. Part of our bondage. The fact that I'm saying these things, the fact that I have a desire for us to have a ministry, because this is a ministry. The fact that I have a desire to have a ministry or part of my ministry, the fact that I want partners that will join me in doing stuff like this. It could be all you have to do is it could be to be sharing information, just be sharing it. The fact that we were even thinking this way shows that we are waking up. We are waking up from our bondage. Drama in Catholic Church as two African nuns mysteriously fall pregnant. Mysteriously fall pregnant. Drama in Catholic Church as two nuns mysteriously fall pregnant. Both nuns are African and were posted to their home continent as part of their charity mission. The Catholic Church is investigating after two nuns returned from missionary work pregnant. Two women, one a mother, one a mother superior. Yeah, I've had that before. I had a Catholic sister told me about superior. She kept saying my superior, my superior. But I guess that's her. That's like I guess they have like a system there where somebody is a superior. The two women, one a mother superior, are from two different orders in Sicily. In Sicily, one of the women, who is 34, only discovered she was pregnant when she had a medical scan after complaining of stomach pains. I can tell you for sure that the angel did not come down and impregnate her. I can tell you that for sure. That I can tell you. The mother superior, whose age is unknown, is based at an institute that help fallen women and their children. The church source in Rome said there is consternation at this news. It appears that both women were back in their home nations and obviously had some form of sexual encounter. That's right. An investigation had been launched. They both breached strict rule. Man-made rule. Man-made rule. Because there's nothing wrong with having sex as long as it's with your husband or with your wife. They both breach strict rules of chastity, but the welfare of their children is uppermost. The most likely outcome is they will leave their religious service. I'm trying to see where this news came from. If this is a joke or a real news. That's why I'm going all the way down. 2020 Maravi Post. Eltas Enterprise Inc., a computer consulting and internet publishing company. So our people need help, my brothers and sisters. They obviously need help. They do need help. No joke. Our people need help. This is a ministry that we need to have. There are different parts of my ministry. There's a health aspect where Yah is helping me to help people, or Yah is using me to help people, medically, people who are sick. There's also the education part of my ministry. And one of the area of my ministry I would like to have is also this area of helping these people get out. Again, this is not something, this is not a war. It's a war, but it's not a war of, it's not a physical war. It's a war of information. War of information. Taking time, sitting down, creating a very good documentary. Not just getting them out, but also letting them know the truth about biblical marriage. Letting them know the truth about biblical marriage. You will be amazed that how much these our people are just ignorant. They just don't know. They just don't know. I do not blame these people. I do not blame my people. They are ignorant. They didn't know what they were doing. They have been tricked. I'm telling you. They have been tricked. They have been tricked. I remember I was speaking to somebody who lives in America, and they told me, "I'm so glad to meet you because I really want to leave America, but I don't know how to. People are telling me not to come back home to Africa. My people tell me not to come back, that Africa is dangerous. But now you're telling me all this stuff. I'm so happy to meet you." This person is very, very happy because they want to leave America, but they're stuck. They just don't know how to do it. They just don't know how to do it. They are just stuck. And they were very, very happy to meet me. And I'm going to help them to make that transition. So this is what we have to do, my brothers and sisters. This is what we have to do. I don't like talk, talk, talk. I like to do action. I like to do action. I like to do stuff. This is something that I'm already doing this. Actually, I'm already in the process of doing this. What I'm telling you, I'm already in the process of doing. Rescuing these people. It's a process. It's not just something you do in one day. It's a process. I'm already in that process already. I have already started it. And it's very, very complicated. It's very, very complicated because of the brainwash. Because it's very easy to deceive people. Oh my goodness. It's 100 times difficult to convince people to accept that they have been deceived. Deceiving people is very easy, but convincing them that they have been deceived is extremely difficult. Once somebody is deceived, they themselves will not agree that they have been deceived. So trying to convince them that they have been deceived can be very, very difficult. Extremely difficult. It's not easy. And only the Most High can make it happen. Only Yah can make it happen. It's very, very difficult convincing somebody that they've been deceived. The person will be arguing with you. Somebody called me on the phone yesterday that they want to learn more about the Sabbath. I'm sitting over there answering their question. Then they start arguing with me. They start telling me that there's nowhere in the Bible that they say you have to use the moon to count the week. I keep telling them Genesis chapter 1, 14 to 16. Genesis chapter 1, 14 to 16. I keep showing them, they keep arguing. At some point I became angry. Like I became frustrated. Why are you calling me? Like you called me, you want to know about the Sabbath, but you're sitting over here arguing with me. And they won't even let me answer their question. They asked me a question, I was answering the question, they cut me off and started telling me, no, that's not true. whatever. Okay, they're fine. You just called me to argue. So this person, and then I asked this person, I asked them a question. My question was this: does the Most High have a calendar? The person said yes. I said, okay, thank you. How many calendar does the Most High have? This person says one calendar. I said, okay, thank you. The Most High gave us instruction in Genesis chapter 1, 14 to 16. He gave us instruction to, when it comes to counting days, you have to use the sun and the moon and the stars. You cannot look at the sun. You cannot look at the sun and tell the day of the week. It's impossible. You cannot look at the moon, the stars, and tell the day of the week. The only thing you can look at and tell the day of the week is by looking at the moon. My point is that the brother refused to accept this thing. He refused. He keep telling me that, oh, it's not like that. It's not blah 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 blah. But you told me that God only has one calendar. So the point is that deceiving people is very easy. Convincing people that they have been deceived is extremely difficult. Convincing people that they have been lied to is very difficult task. And only the Most High can help us. Try to have a conversation with a sister, convincing her that she's been deceived. She will not accept it. She will start arguing with you. She will start fighting. Convincing a brother that he's been deceived. He'll be be arguing with you. So it's not a small task. It's a process. The first thing first is to create the material. Create the material needed. And make it to a point that all you have to do is to take it. You see, like that video, the Sabbath video. Do you know how long it took to get that video to that standard? It's slowly keep adding information. So now you don't have to say much. All you have to do is to take that video and share with somebody online. They watch the video, they see what you're saying. So I need to put together, or we need to put together something like that, because this is the work of the Most High. It's not the work of one person. It is not the work of one person. We need to create something and put information together in a way that all we have to do, all anybody has to do is to take it. Maybe somebody has a brother who is a reverend father, or a sister who is a reverend sister. They just take the video and share it. They take the video and they share it. And in that video, the first thing you see is this. That's the first thing you see. Because these are people that deceive our people. They are the ones that deceive our people. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. Like as I said, if you happen to watch this, or if you happen to be interested in this, feel free to contact me and say, brother, I saw the video about Catholic nuns or whatever, the Reverend Fathers or whatever. I'm interested in being a part of that kind of ministry. At least, like as I said, it's almost like I'm already in the process of trying to get our people out of this thing. But it's not easy. It is not easy, because trying to convince them that they have been deceived, ego will get in the way. Nobody wants to accept that they've been lied to, because accepting that you have been lied to, some people see that, oh man, wow, I've been lied to. I'm not going to accept that, because I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look foolish. If I accept that I have been lied to, that's going to make me look foolish. That will make me look stupid. This is why most of our people don't want to accept that they've been deceived. They put in their ego in front. They don't want to look bad. If they admit that they've been lied to, then that shows that they're not paying attention or that they were not too smart or whatever. That's why some people are going to reject this information. Not because you're not showing them the truth. You're showing them the truth. But because they don't want to admit that they've been lied to because of ego. But that doesn't mean we will not try. We will try. We will try. And it's going to be a very good information, well put together. It's not just me just making a video and telling, oh, the truth is that you're not supposed to be a reverend father or reverend sister. No, 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 no. It has to be much more than that. It will be like a mini documentary, something very, very simple, but also shows the truth on this thing. And will also include other truth, because sometimes when people accept, when you show people this kind of information and they accept it, then they start asking questions. Well, what else have we been deceived deceived with? What other things do I know that is not the truth? They begin to ask that kind of questions. That's one of the things that can happen. It's not just that they wake up to the truth, but they will also begin to wake up to other truths also. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. I give the Messiah all the glory and all the honor. Because no matter what, I have to admit, I'm grateful to the Most High, at least that we are now at a point that we can actually realize that we've been deceived. We actually now know that we've been lied to and deceived, and we actually are in a position to help our brothers and sisters to open their eyes spiritually also. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Like as I said, this is almost like a call to action for anybody who is interested in having that kind of ministry or ideas or whatever. But definitely, this is something I'm going to do, Yah's willing. I'm going to put something together. I don't know when, but I'll put something together, at least, something that can be shareable online. Because, if you have something online that people can share, then it becomes a worldwide. Anybody, anywhere can take it and share online. Something that has to be put together in a very, very sensible, righteous way. And I cannot condemn any of them. I will never condemn any of them. It's something that has to be put together in a loving way, because they've been deceived. And when somebody has been deceived in this way, you don't start blaming them. You don't start pointing finger at them, because they've been deceived. These are victims. Did you know that they're victims? They are actually victims. These people are victims. That is what they are. They are victims. Reverend fathers, reverend sisters are victims. They are actually victims. So you don't blame people who was deceived at a young age. They have been deceived from young age. They have been deceived. So if I put something together about these people, it's not going to be condemning them. Okay, I just Googled Reverend Father in Africa. Look at what I see. Like as I told you before, yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing this picture. Like as I told you, look, let me show you again. Let me show you again. Do you see the first picture I showed you? Man, this is disgusting. This is horrible. The first picture I showed you about Reverend Sisters, when I Googled it, you saw so-called white people in that picture. Now, I Googled Reverend Fathers in Africa and showed you this picture. The first thing you see these people. They're always around. What the hell are they doing in Africa? Why aren't they walking around in Europe and promoting this rubbish? This one breeds homosexuality, actually. For the men, it breeds homosexuality. For the men. They leave Europe. They come to Africa promoting this garbage. You tell a man, a fully blooded Hebrew man, who the Most High created to be a sex machine, producing children, populating the earth. You tell them, you deceive them that they are not supposed to have a wife. They're deceived into this. These people are not exposed to this kind of video. They're not exposed to this. They are not. They are not. And what happens is that eventually they become homosexuals, gay people. They become gay. They become gay. There's a school. There's a school called DMGS. Man, the horrible story coming out of this school. Oh my goodness. The stories coming out of these schools. Horrible. The same stories that you guys are hearing in America. The Catholic priest child sex abuse scandal. Same thing in Africa. Same thing. These men are deceived into becoming a reverend father. They're deceived into becoming a reverend father. They are told that they're not supposed to have sex, but they want to have sex. Do you know that these men, do you know that these reverend fathers, do you know that I don't know how much you know about Catholic. I'm not a Catholic, okay? I'm not a Catholic, but I know a little bit about Catholics. I know a little bit. There's something called altar boys. Altar boys. Do you know that these Catholic priests, do you know that these Catholic priests, do you know that they are very, very close to these altar boys? Because the altar boys work with Catholic priests. Altar boys work with Catholic priests. Yes. So before you know it, they start having sex with these boys. Before you know it, they start having sex with these boys. This is what's happening. This is what happens. Altar boys are boys. These are boys. So it's the same thing you have in America that has been brought to our land. These Catholic priests, they literally walk with boys in the church. These boys are helping them in their mass, in their church service. So these men are around boys all the time. Before you know it, they start spoiling these boys. That's what happens. That's what happens. And these boys, these um these altar boys, these altar boys, when they become altar boys, that is when they get groomed to become reverend fathers. Altar boy, that system of having altar boys, that system is actually a way of grooming them to become Catholic priests. Vesting of the ark, confraternity of St. Stephen altar boys. So these boys are groomed to become Catholic priests from young age by these animals. These animals that should be chased out of Africa. In the name of altar boy, they're not going to come to you and tell you, hey, how are you doing? We would like your son to become a reverend father and not get married. We would like your son to become, they will not tell you that. Rather, they convince you to enroll your son to become an altar boy. By your son becoming an altar boy, he becomes close to the priest. There's sex going on. Sex, gay sex that goes on. It's not something hidden. You know, this is not, I'm not making this up. This is not a joke. There's gay sex that goes on. The priest has money, the church money. They start giving these boys money. The priest, is not going to talk about money. The priest is not going to talk about sex. The so-called priest, the satanic priest, because that's what they are. These satanic priests will not talk about sex. First, they start giving them money. They start giving them money. They start buying them gift. They're buying gift for the boys, giving him money. At some point, this boy will be dependent on him for money, giving him large amount of money. After about a month, 2, 3, 4 months, he's still giving him money. It comes to a point that if he invites him to come to his house or whatever, he's not going to say no. If he start touching him, he's not going to say no. That is how they breed homosexuality in Africa. So when I'm telling you about ministry to counter this rubbish, some of you will not understand. Some of you will think I'm crazy. Some of you will be thinking, brother, what's the point of doing this? What's the point? What is the point of doing this? Do you think that there's not lesbian sex going on between these sisters? I'm not saying these ones. I'm not talking about these ones. I'm talking about Catholic nuns in general, Reverend sisters in general. I am sure that there are 2 sisters somewhere having sex. Yes, because they are in the same boat. They're not going to expose each other. They have sex with each other. Yes. So when I'm talking about doing this thing, you may not understand. We are in a war. We are in a war, and the Most High is watching us to see how we plan, what to do. The Most High knows what's going on. The Most High allowed this stuff to go on. We are the ones that are supposed to counter these things. Are we going to change the world? No. Is our goal to change the world? No. The Most High sees what is going on. Our goal should be to change the world around us. Around us. And today we have the world in our fingertip. Internet. Internet. I spoke to 3 people yesterday. 3 people. I woke up again. When I woke up, there was somebody else contacting me. It was 4. 4 people. 4 people yesterday. 4 people that I dealt with yesterday who are seeking the truth. They are contacting me. I need to know this. I would like to know more of this. I need to know this. I would like to know more of this. I kept sending them information. Sending them information. So one of them is in Kenya. The other one is in somewhere in the Caribbean. Another person, I don't know, in some country in Europe or something. So today we actually have the world on our fingertip. There's so much we can do. So much. That's why the Most High created the internet. The Most High created it. There's plenty of things we can do. Because it's not just the unrighteous sex that goes on, but also homosexuality. Homosexuality do go on. It's not hidden. It's not hidden at all. And I'm so happy right now. I'm so grateful and happy. Because even though I already have this on my mind, I already have a contact right now with Reverend sisters. And it's almost like I have started that process. I've already started it to get them out of that system. I've started it. It's a process. Do you know how long it took to brainwash them? Do you think that somebody wake up in the morning and decide, oh, wow, this is a wonderful day. I just woke up today and I'm going to be a reverend father or I'm going to be a reverend sister? No. It took years to deceive them. They are attracted. Oh yeah, just come and be an altar boy. Just be an altar boy. It's through being an altar boy that they get trapped. Trapped by who? How did we start doing this rubbish? These people right here. These animals. These Babylonians. These modern day Canaanites. These are modern day Canaanites. They are the one that brought this rubbish to us. Our ancestors didn't do this. These modern day Canaanites, Babylonians. This is how they deceive Hebrew children. These are Hebrew children. This is how they bring this. Do you see them? Why can't they stay in Europe and do this stuff? Why can't they stay in Europe? Africa is more religious than Europe. You see them bringing this rubbish in Africa. If I have power in Africa, I'll ban these people from Africa. I'll ban them. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. I will ban them from Africa. They will not be allowed to come in. Because Africa is that wilderness that the Most High prepared for Israelites. According to Revelation chapter 12. Africa is the temporary wilderness the Most High prepared for his people. The devil tried to come in to attack the woman, but he couldn't come in. Sometimes they sleep in. They do sleep in and come in. They sleep in and they're deceiving our people. So it takes you cannot run into a reverend sister in a grocery store. Okay, you cannot run into a reverend sister at the grocery store and say to her, or run into a reverend father at the grocery store and say to him, and say to that reverend father, and you say to him, brother, you have been deceived. Can somebody please mute that mic, please? You can't run into and when you oh my goodness, I don't even. Okay, anyway. Okay, you can't run into a reverend. You can't run into a reverend father, as they call them. You can't run into them at a grocery store or at a fuel station, gas station, and you go to him and say, brother, you have been deceived. You need to come out of Catholic Church. And then he will tell you, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. No, 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 no. It's a process. It's a process. We even have to have a phone line. There has to be a phone number. In the video, there has to be a phone number. In the brochure, the booklet, the pamphlet that you distribute, there has to be a phone number that they can call. I will put my phone number if they have questions, if they need counseling, because for some of them is going to be very traumatic. It will not be easy for them to come out. It will not be easy. They need guidance. Okay, you're telling them to come out of Catholic Church. You're telling them that they have been deceived. Okay, if they come out of Catholic Church, where are they going to go? What are they going to believe? What are they going to do? These are questions that they're going to have. They're going to scrutinize the information you're giving them. They're going to look into it. They're going to study it. They're going to have questions. Is it all of them? No, but some of them. If at the end of the day, we save one brother or one sister out of this cult, not really a cult, this is a satanic organization. It's not even a cult. That's an insult to call it a cult. It's a satanic organization that was brought to us by our enemies. So at the end of the day, if we saved one brother or one sister, I'm talking about one, just one, that is something. On the judgment day, When we stand on the side, waiting for the Most High to judge us, at least when the Most High asks us a question, I commanded the Israelites to serve me. How did you serve me? I want you to ask yourself that question. What would you say? What will you say? Going to church is not serving the Most High. Keeping the Sabbath is not serving the Most High. You're simply keeping the law. Keeping the law is not serving the Most High. So don't think that just because you're wearing your fringes, or because you're keeping the Sabbath, or because you're keeping your no, you're reading your scripture, or you're keeping the law. No, no, no. That's not serving the Most High. If the Most High asks you the question, how did you serve me? Because he commanded us to serve him in Deuteronomy chapter 10, 12 and 13. Deuteronomy 10, 12 and 13. Deuteronomy 10, 12 and 13. We're supposed to serve him. What would you say? If the only thing you can say is to say, Father, I was part of a ministry. I was part of a team that was helping to get our brothers and sisters who were deceived into Catholic. I was helping to wake them up so that they can serve you the right way. It is better than saying nothing. If that's all you have to say, that's something. At least when you ask the question, how did you serve him? You will not just keep quiet, because we are all required to serve the Most High. The Chinese are not required to serve the Most High like the way we're required. The Europeans are not required to serve the Most High. The Europeans are going to Africa and promoting this rubbish, this Satanism. Europeans are going to Africa and promoting this. These are Catholic priests. These are Catholic priests. What did the Most High say about the priests? Let me check you guys out, my brothers and sisters. Who can answer me? What did the Most? Because I was going to go there, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let you guys tell us where to go. What did the Most High say about the priest when it comes to getting married? What did he say, and where did he say it? Before I go there, the Most High spoke about the priest. What did he say?
The priest must marry a virgin, not even a widow.
And where do we find that?
I think that's in Leviticus. Could be
Yes,
mistaken.
you're right. Leviticus 21. All right, let's go and read it. Leviticus 21. I'm just going to open it up. This is it right here. Leviticus 21. This is what the Most High said about the priest, regarding the priest. So you see that, like they said in the video that we saw earlier, the Most High never said that it's not divine law. It's not, the Most High did not command us that a man cannot get married. Yahweh said to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, a priest shall not defile himself for the dead among his people, except for his relatives that are near to him, for his mother, and for his father, and for his son, his son, his son, for his daughter. So he has a daughter, for his daughter or his son. So that means that a priest should not touch a dead body. They shouldn't touch a dead body, only the dead body of their father or the dead body of their mother or their son or their daughter they can touch, or for his brother, and for his virgin sister who is near to him, who had no husband. For her he may defile himself. He shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. So they are only supposed to touch, they're not allowed to touch a dead body of any other person, other than for their mother or their father or their brother or their sister who is still a virgin. So when his sister gets married and she's no longer a virgin, if that woman died, the priest cannot touch her dead body. No, because she's now married. She's no longer a virgin. Verse 5, Leviticus 21:5. They shall not shave their heads or shave off the corners of their beard or make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be holy to their Elohim and not profane the name of their Elohim, for they offer the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, the bread of their Elohim. Therefore they shall be holy. This is the part that the brother answered. They shall not marry a woman who is a prostitute or profane. A priest shall not marry a woman who is divorced from her husband, for he is holy to his Elohim. Therefore you shall sanctify him. He offers the bread of your Elohim. He shall be holy to you. For I, Yahweh, who sanctify you, am holy. The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing prostitute, she profanes her father, she shall be burned with fire. She shall be burned with fire. She shall be burned with fire. The priest's daughter, the daughter of a priest. The daughter of a priest supposed to keep her virginity. The daughter of a priest cannot be going around and be having sex. Verse 13. He shall take a wife in her virginity. The priest supposed to take a wife in her virginity. He shall not marry a widow or or one divorced or a woman who has been defiled. Question, because I just read this, and I'm just going to ask you. When you say a woman that have been defiled, what does that mean? We know this. We know what it means when a woman is a virgin. We know what it means when a woman is a widow. We know what it means when a woman is divorced. It says, or a woman who has been defiled. What does that mean?
A woman who has had sex.
A woman what?
A woman who's been raped.
Okay.
A woman that has been with many men.
Yeah. So Jubilees chapter 33, verse 8 and 9. Jubilees 33, 8 and 9. Belial told Jacob, her husband, you cannot have me. I have been defiled. I have been defiled. Deuteronomy 24. One to 4. When a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanliness in her, and he this is what people get misunderstand, because what it says in New King James is not what it says in King James. This thing in King James sounds like he's asking men to divorce their wife. If you marry a woman and you don't like her, write her a bill of divorce, divorce her. No, that's not what this is asking men to do. That's not what this is asking men to do at all. This is telling men, and he writes her a certificate of divorce. He's not asking you to do it. He's telling you that if you send her out of your house and she goes out and he writes her a certificate of divorce, put it in her hand, and send her out of his house. When she has departed from his house and goes and become another man's wife, if the later husband, by the way, shouldn't be saying this stuff, he shouldn't be saying this. That's another problem. He shouldn't be saying and go and become another man's wife, because she cannot become another man's wife. Why? Because she still have a husband. The Most High is very clear in chapter 22. Even Paul said in First Corinthians chapter 7, 10 and 11, Paul said that if a woman wants to leave her husband, she can leave, but she cannot remarry. She cannot remarry. First Corinthians 7, 10 and 11. Also Romans chapter 7, verse 1 to 3. He also said that a woman cannot have another husband if her husband is still alive. So why is this sounding here like he's asking, is saying that a woman can go and become another man's wife? No, it's translation problem. One of the things that we need to have is also our own translation. We need to have our own translation. At least, even if we don't have the money to print it out, even if we don't have the money to print it out, like as in print it on, or like to have an actual Bible, to have an actual Bible, we should have it online. We should have it online. We should have it online. Most of the time when I read the Bible, I'm reading from my phone anyway. Most of the time right now, I'm reading from my phone. Yes, like what I'm reading right now, I'm reading from a computer. So this is not the time that we can say, oh, wow, it would have been nice for us to have our own translation. But we cannot because we don't have money. No, this is not the time, because everything is done online right now. We can absolutely have a translation, even if it's not printed on piece of paper. We should have it online. And that's one of the projects I would like to work on. That's one of the projects I would definitely like to work on. Highest 2 months, 3 months, that translation should be ready. Highest. If I put my heart, put my mind, put my strength, put my energy into it, it's going to require a lot of staying indoor, a lot of staying inside indoor. Within 2 months, we will have a translation ready, translated the right way, with the name of Yah, and then bring these books together. Bring all these books together. And the beautiful thing is that once you have something like this, that's it. It's done. Once you have it, these things will exist even after we are gone. Even after we are gone, it will exist. It will continue to exist. That's the beautiful thing about it. So when I'm going to join my ancestor, I will join my ancestor in peace. I was happy when this brother sent me this picture. Before I even printed this thing, he went and printed it. He printed it out. It took a while to put this stuff together. I was indoor a lot. I was indoor. Man, sometimes I would just be indoor, writing and writing and writing. Sometimes I would just come down. I would just come down, just like, walk around. Sometimes I get up and walk around, and then I get back on the computer, continue to write. I get back on my thing, continue to write. Get back, on the thing I was using to write it, until it finally come to this point. So there are people who are waiting to have this information. This thing is going to exist even after I'm gone. Even after I am gone, it's going to exist. It's going to stay. It's here to stay. Yah's willing. And people are going to use it like this. This is being used in a different country to teach about clean and unclean food. So just like we have this thing, we can have a Bible translation also. We can have a Bible translation that will also be online. The good thing is that every day, more and more people are getting online. Every day, more and more people are getting online. Every day, it's getting cheaper and cheaper to have the internet. That's a beautiful thing. That's why I say that the Messiah created the internet. So there's no excuse of why we shouldn't have our own translation. There's no excuse. In the past, my excuse would have been, well, we can't have a Bible translation because it's going to cost a lot of money to print it. The only thing right now, one of the major things that stands in the way of me doing a translation is time. That's one of the major things. It's going to take about 2 months. It's going to take about, it needs a full time. You need to like focus on it, put together and correct a lot of these mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes not in the scripture, but in the translation. And one of them being this one. Oh my goodness. If you're interested in biblical marriage, if you're interested in biblical marriage, then you will know about this, about Deuteronomy 24. A lot of people misunderstand this because there was a mistake in the KJV. And people are actually getting divorced because of this. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. People are actually getting divorced because of this. People are actually getting divorced because of this. But the thing is that they made a mistake in KJV. They came to new KJV and they corrected that mistake. Here is the mistake right here. The mistake is right here, where it says, if the later husband, oh, right here, where in verse 1, it says, when a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanness in her, and he writes her a divorce, and he writes her a divorce, and he writes her a divorce. Let me show you the same thing in KJV. So you see that it was a mistake. It was actually a mistake that they made in KJV. I'm going to show you the same thing in KJV right now. It was a pure mistake. So that's why we need a translation to correct some of these mistakes. Once you have a translation, people are going to begin to download them, begin to use them. Like as I said, to be honest with you, almost 100% of the time right now, when I read the Bible, I'm reading online. I'm reading from my phone. So this is a very good time to have a Bible translation. If we have a Bible translation, we don't need to print it out. If somebody wants to print it, fine, let them go and print. It's going to cost a lot of money anyway to print. We can at least have it online. And again, I'm grateful to the Most High for this idea right now, because I know that we need to have a Bible translation. But when we go through stuff like this, it even makes it even more clear and reminds me that we need to have it, and I'm going to start looking into it, trying to put something together, have a translation, our own translation, our own translation, not a Christian translation. All the stuff we do is Christian translation. See this? That's a Christian translation. We need to have our own translation with the true name of the Most High and things. Can you imagine having a translation? Can you imagine having a translation that was not based that we don't have to keep the law? These translations are based that we don't have to keep the law. So if we have a translation, it's going to be very, very different. Very, very different from a regular translation. And that's one of the projects that I would definitely love to do before I join my ancestors. Yah's willing. That's one of the project. The thing I need to get it done is time. It takes time. It takes time. You're gonna have to be indoor a lot for a long time. It takes time. So, but we need to have it. We need to have a translation. You know your journey. You know how your journey was. You know how you were searching for a good translation. All of us, when we started this journey, this spiritual journey, we all keep looking for the best translations. And most of the translations are translated with the mindset that we don't have to keep the law. Now, let me show you the mistake here in KJV. It was a mistake. It says, when a man takes a wife and marries her, and it come to pass that she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her. Then, look at this, then let him write her a bill of divorcement. So in KJV, it's asking you to give her to divorce her. This is basically asking people, if you marry a woman and you don't like her, whatever, because you found some uncleanness in her, write her a bill of divorce and send her out. But in New King James, notice that it's not saying the same thing. Here it says, then let him write her a bill of divorcement. But in the New King James, look at what it says. When a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he found some uncleanness in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand. So this is telling you, this is not asking you to do it. This is saying, and he, I'm going to highlight this so you can see the difference. So in the New King James, it says this. It says, and he writes her a certificate of divorce. In KJV, look at what it says. Then let him write her. So KJV is asking you to do it. KJV is asking you to divorce her. Look at the new KJV. It's not asking you to divorce her. It says, and he writes her. There's a difference between saying, if you open the gate and approach the house and you hear a noise inside the house, open the door and go inside. Open the door and go inside. That is asking you to do it. Listen again, listen again, listen. If you open the gate and come inside and you hear a noise inside the house, open the door and go inside. I'm asking you to do it. Now listen to this. Listen to this. If you come inside, if you open the gate and come inside and you hear a noise inside the house, if you open the door and go inside, you see, they're not the same thing. If you open the door and go inside and open the door and go inside, they're not the same thing. KJV is asking you to divorce your wife. If you don't find favor in her eyes, or if she doesn't find favor in your eyes, and you find some uncleanness about her, divorce her. Give her a bill of divorce, send her out of your house. New KJV is not asking you to divorce her. It's telling you that if you put your wife away, and she leaves your house, and then she go and start living with another man, when she departs from his house and goes, the right way to translate this, you see right here, the right way to translate this is to say, and she goes and start living with another man. It is not supposed to say and go and become another man's wife. She cannot become another man's wife. She cannot. Why? Romans chapter 7, 1-3 says that if a woman's husband is alive, she cannot become another man's wife. Romans chapter 7, 1-3. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 10 and 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 10 and 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 10 and 11 says that as long as a woman's husband is alive, she cannot remarry. So why are we seeing here? My brothers and sisters, think about what I'm showing you here. Think about this. Please, can you focus? Just focus. This is actually very interesting. What I'm showing you is very interesting. My brothers and sisters, do you see that the way that do you notice that if you look at this from KJV, that means that the writings of Paul is actually more strict than this law. Think about it. Why is Paul the apostle telling women that if your husband is still alive, you cannot remarry? But here in the law, it's telling us that a woman can remarry. Think about it. I thought that Paul was promoting lawlessness. I thought that Paul was saying that we don't have to keep the law. But it's not just Paul. Oh, no, Yeshua. Matthew 5:31 and 32. Matthew 5:32. Yeshua Christ Hamashiach. He said that whoever marries a woman who is put away commits adultery. Here is asking you to put away your wife according to KJV. But look, according to this in KJV, it's asking you to put away your wife. Verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and become another man's wife. This is horrible. This is KJV. This is terrible. Can you see? This is wicked. This is evil. Even Paul disagreed with this. Look at the way it's translated in KJV. He said that she can go and become another man's wife. No, that's not true. That is not true. She cannot go and become another man's wife. God forbid. God forbid. God forbid. This is horrible. It's telling you here you can put away your wife. Just write her a bill of divorce. It's also telling you that she can go and become another man's wife. That goes against what the Most High said in Deuteronomy chapter 22. This goes against what the Most High does not say one thing here and say something else there. No, he says very consistent. This is a bad translation. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go. So notice here, in that in King James, right? In King James, is asking you to write your wife a bill of divorce right here. Let him write her a bill of divorce and let him send her out of his house. Oh my goodness, this is the satanic. This is horrible. This is almost like from Satan. So not only is he asking men to divorce their wife, it's also telling women that they can go and become another man's wife. That goes against Deuteronomy chapter 22, 28 and 29. Deuteronomy 22, 28 and 29. Do you know what's really interesting about this thing? Actually, let me go over there. Romans chapter 7. What's really interesting is that how is it that Paul is actually more strict? Because Paul is telling you that no, a woman cannot remarry as long as her husband is alive. How is it that Paul said that in Romans 7? But we also see here that oh no, she can do it. Oh, he can do it. You marry a woman, you don't like her, you see some uncleanness in her, send her out. Or do you not know, brethren, for I speak to those who know the law, that the law has dominion over a man as long as he lives. The law has dominion over a man. The only time you're not under the law is if you die. Once you die, you're no longer under the law. As long as you are alive, you are under the law, according to Romans chapter 7, verse 1. According to Romans chapter 7, verse 1, as long as anybody is alive, they are under the law. Once you die, you're no longer under God's law. When you are alive, the law has dominion over you. You can't just go against the law because the law rules over you. You have to keep it. Verse 2, for the woman who has a husband is bound by the law to her husband as long as he lives. But if the husband dies, she is released from the law of her husband. So then, if she, while her husband lives, she marries another man, she will be called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is freed from that law, so that she she so that she is no adulteress, though she has married another man. This is telling you as long as the man is alive, she cannot remarry. So why are we seeing here in the law that is saying that, oh, you can remarry? Because this is a bad translation. Right here in KJV, it's horrible. It's horribly translated. That is why we need our own translation. That is also one of the reasons why I tell you, don't read one translation. No, 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 no. Do not read one translation. When you're doing Bible study, I encourage you to have multiple translations. Have KJV, but also have other translations. Don't just rely only on one translation. If you do it, it's not good. It's not very good. So KJV has errors, and this error is one of them. Now look at verse 2. Let me read verse 2 again on KJV. Look, this is very interesting. Look at verse 2. Look at verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and become another man's wife. When she departed from his house, she may go and become another man's wife, according to this. Let me read verse 2 in New KJV. My brothers and sisters, I don't know if you're seeing this. I don't know if you're seeing and understanding what I'm explaining to you. This is really sad, because in KJV, people are going to read it and they're going to divorce their wife. The women are going to start living with another man as their husband, even though it's against the will of the Most High, because of KJV. It's a bad translation, very horrible translation on this particular area. Look at the New KJV. It says, when she has departed from his house and goes and become another man's wife. Do you see the difference? Look, let me highlight this again. I don't know if you guys are really understanding what I'm explaining here. KJV is saying that she can go and become another man's wife. Look, and when she is departed out of his house, she may go and become another man's wife. It says she may go and become another man's wife. This is KJV, King James, Deuteronomy 24. Now look at New King James. Look at New King James in the same verse 2. So KJV is saying that if you put away your wife can actually go and become another man's wife. That's what it says. She may go and become another man's wife. Now let me read it from New KJV. New KJV. Watch this. Look, New KJV, New King James. Watch the same verse in verse 2. Look at verse 2. Look at verse 2. Verse 2. Hold on, let me make sure that you see it very well. I want to make sure that you see it very well. I'm going to make sure that you see it very, very well. I have some lines over here that I need to remove. I want to remove this line. Okay, the line is gone. Let me read verse 2. Look at verse 2. When she has departed from his house, and here it says, and goes and become another man's wife. Do you see the difference? In KJV, it's saying that she should go and become another man's wife. She may go and become another man's wife. In the New KJV, it says that, and she goes. So, what Moses was telling Israelites was what they were already doing. That was what they were already doing. And like Christ, Yahshua HaMashiach, pointed out, it is not the will of the Most High. The will of the Most High was that when a man marries a woman, he marries her forever. The Most High doesn't want men and women to be separating. Once you take a woman's virginity, that's it. She's your wife. Once you take a woman's virginity, she is your wife. That's all. For the rest of your life, she's your wife. If you read this thing from KJV, it sounds like Moses was asking Israelites, if you marry a woman and you find some uncleanness in her, send her out of your house. And she herself can go and become another man's wife. No, that's not what Moses was saying. So if you compare KJV and the new KJV, you begin to see the truth. So the new KJV is talking about what they were already doing. It says, and he writes her a certificate of divorce. And she and she goes and become another man's wife. And she goes. So the truth is that this is only talking about what they were already doing. And the main point, let me tell you the main point of this thing. The main point starts from verse 4. Then her former husband, who divorced her, must not take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled. If you remember, I asked you a question earlier. What does it mean when he said that the woman is defiled? When he said that the priest cannot marry a defiled woman, the question I asked that led us to this is that I asked you, why does it say in Leviticus? It says in Leviticus 21 that a priest cannot marry a defiled woman. Leviticus 21:14. Leviticus 21:14. The priest cannot marry a defiled woman. I asked, what does that mean? That was what led us to this in Deuteronomy chapter 24. So what Moses was telling the Israelite was that if you marry a woman and for whatever reason you send her out of your house, and that woman goes to start living with another man, you cannot take that woman back. If you marry a woman and another man lay with her, you cannot take her back. Look at verse 4. The verse 4 is the whole point. The point that Moses was making. The only reason why Moses talked about this thing is because of verse 4. Once you send your wife out, once another man sleep with your wife, once another man lay with your wife, that's it. Case closed. You cannot take your wife back. Why can't you take her back right here? Because she's defiled. And her former husband who divorced her must not take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled. For this is an abomination before Yahweh, and you shall not bring sin on the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. So if you have a wife and another man has sex with your wife, that means that your wife has been defiled. If you have a wife and another man have sex with your wife, your wife has been defiled. A woman is supposed to be having sex with one man at a time. If that man dies, then she's free for another man to have sex with her. Let me also show 1 Corinthians chapter 7 before we move on. 1 Corinthians 7. Paul talked about that. 1 Corinthians 7. 1 Corinthians 7, 10 and 11 that I mentioned earlier. I think it's important to show that. 1 Corinthians 7, 10 and 11. Now, to the married I command, yet not the Lord. A wife is not to depart from her husband, but even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And the husband is not to divorce his wife. A husband is not to divorce his wife. So are you telling me that Paul, the question we have to ask ourselves, are you telling me that Paul doesn't know about Deuteronomy 24? My brothers and sisters, this is a very interesting study because we have been told all our life that Paul was preaching against the law. Paul said we don't have to keep the law. Paul said we don't have to keep the law. The question that should be asked is this: why is Paul telling us that a woman cannot have another husband if her husband is alive? Why? Where does Paul get that from? Why is it that Paul is more strict here than Deuteronomy 24? Because Paul is telling men, don't divorce your wife. A husband is not to divorce his wife. Paul is telling us this. Why is he saying this? I thought that according to the law in Deuteronomy 24, according to the law in Deuteronomy 24, you can divorce your wife. That's what I thought. So why is it that the Most High give us a law? Think about it. This is so interesting. Because all our life we have been told, Paul this, Paul that, Paul said this, Paul said that, Paul is this, Paul said this, Paul this, Paul that, Paul left, Paul right, Paul. Here we have the law telling us, men, divorce your wife. You marry a woman, you don't like her, you see some uncleanness in her, put her away, divorce her. And then we see Paul saying, don't divorce your wife. The Most High commanded Moses to tell Israelites to divorce their wife, according to Deuteronomy 24 in KJV. KJV is what I'm quoting. According to KJV, the Most High commanded Israelites, if you marry a woman, you don't like her, divorce her. So who the hell is Paul to tell us we cannot divorce our wives? Why is he telling us that? By the way, I thought that Paul was speaking against the law. Do you see how confusing this whole thing is? Do you see how confusing is it? This is the danger you can have when you had the wrong translation. This is the danger you can have when something is badly translated. Let me show you what I'm talking. Let me show you, give you another example. Leviticus chapter 20 or chapter 11:20. Leviticus 11:20. Leviticus 11:20. And I'm going to read it from KJV so you can see how horrible this thing is. There are people today who are no longer eating chicken. They don't eat chicken because of this verse. We're going to go down to verse 20. Look at what it says. All fowls that creep going upon all fours shall be an abomination unto you. That's KJV. All fowls. Let me see what a fowl is. Let's see what a fowl is. Let's look it up. Let's see what a fowl is. Because it says that all fowls that go on all four shall be unclean unto you. This is fowl. Let's go back here. Let me just keep it simple. I want to keep it simple. This is fowl. This one have 2 legs and is going on 2. This one is going on 2. This one is going on 2. They're all going on 2, 2, 2. They don't have 4. They don't have 4. They don't have 4. They have 2. They have 2 legs. But according to KJV, all fowls that creep going upon all 4 shall be an abomination unto you. This is confusing. This is bad translation. Now let me read the same thing from KJV or New KJV. Leviticus 11. I'm going to read the same verse from New King James so you can see how this mistake was made and then corrected in New KJV. It was corrected in New Living Translation or the New King James Version. Look at the difference. All flying insects that creep on all four shall be an abomination unto you. It's supposed to be flying insects, not fowl. That was the mistake in KJV. They made a mistake. This was a pure mistake right here. This is KJV. Instead of putting insects, flying insects, they put fowl. So today there are people who do not eat chicken. There are people who do not eat chicken because of this. There are people who do not eat chicken because of this KJV, especially those who believe only in King James Version. Those who believe only in reading King James Version, they don't eat chicken. Some of them don't eat chicken because of this mistake. It was a mistake in the KJV. It was a pure mistake, which was corrected in new KJV. It was corrected. Notice what I'm doing here. Do you notice what I'm doing? Do you notice I'm showing you KJV and new KJV? If I'm showing you KJV and another translation, then that don't make no sense. I'm showing you KJV and the new KJV. Why am I doing that? Because I'm showing you error in KJV that has been corrected in the new KJV. Mistake made in the KJV, corrected in the new KJV. That's what happened here in Deuteronomy, the issue of Deuteronomy. That's what happened. If you read it in KJV, it looks like Moses was asking you to divorce your wife. But if you read it in the new KJV, it sounds different. And all Moses was trying to say is, look, listen. If another man has sex with your wife, she is defiled. She is defiled. You can no longer take her back, period. Because once a man take a woman's virginity, that's it. That woman becomes his wife in the sight of the Most High. Whether you guys are married or not, whether you go to church and get married or not, it doesn't matter. Once a man take a woman's virginity, case closed. She becomes his wife. She becomes his wife. As long as that man is alive, no other person can marry that woman. No other person. That man that took her virginity became her husband. So right here, if you look at this, you see a contradiction. If a man finds a woman who is a virgin, who is not betrothed, and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, then the man who lay with her shall give the young woman's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He shall not be permitted to divorce her all his days. The Most High is saying that if a man have sex with a virgin, then he cannot put that virgin away all his life. Do you see the problem we have here? How is it that the Most High is telling us through Moses that once you have sex with a virgin, she becomes your wife? And then in chapter 24 of the same book, Deuteronomy 24, the Most High is saying if you marry a woman and you don't like her, she doesn't find favor in your eyes, and you see some uncleanness in her, divorce her, and she can go and be another man's wife. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. We had that contradiction because of mistakes that was made. Now, let me show you even more. Let me show you something that I'm going to close with something very terrible, horrible. Let's go back here. I want to show you something right now. We are going to do 28, Deuteronomy 28 or 22, 28. I'm going to go to Bible Hub. Look at this. Just look at this. Tell me if the Most High God commanded this. This is a New International Version. New International Version. If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married, and rapes her, and they are discovered, he has to marry her. According to this, he has to marry her. If a man rape a girl, then he marries her. I don't know if you understand what this is saying. So if I see your daughter and I rape your daughter, then I have to, in fact, let me click and go inside. Let me go inside. Let me actually go inside. Let me go inside. Let's actually go inside. This is New International Version. This is terrible. Deuteronomy 28, 22, 28, and 29. Deuteronomy chapter 22, 28, and 29. If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. That's not what the Most High said. The Most High will never condone rape, because the Most High told us right here that if a man rapes a woman, it's a death sentence. Right here, before we go down to verse 28. Look, before that, the Most High said it. Right here, the Most High said that the man has to be put to death. Look, let me read it. Look, verse 25. But if out in the country a man happens to meet a woman pledged to be married and rapes her, only the man who has done this shall die. Do nothing to the woman. She has committed no sins deserving death. So this is telling you that if a man rapes a woman, that man must be put to death. People are not going to come, a man that's supposed to come to you and tell you that they want to marry your granddaughter, or they want to marry your daughter. Instead of coming to you, the man will now go and wait by the side of your house. You send your daughter to go and buy something. They rape your daughter. And then they come back and say, well, I'm sorry, I raped your daughter. Now I have to marry her. No. This is horrible. Horrible translation. So when I tell you that we need our own translation, this is what I'm talking about. There are plenty of people who actually believe today that you can actually divorce your wife, and that you can actually go and become another man's wife. This is terrible. Deuteronomy chapter 24 is not asking men to divorce their wife. Deuteronomy 24 is not saying that if you divorce your wife, she can go and become another man's wife. Deuteronomy 24 is not saying that when a woman is divorced from her husband, she can go and become another man's wife. No, that's not what it's saying. Because Paul tells you in Romans that if a woman leave her husband, or if a woman has a husband, she cannot remarry. She cannot remarry. Right here. For the woman who has a husband is bound by the law to her husband as long as he lives. But if the husband dies, she is released from the law of her husband. So even Paul is telling you that a woman cannot remarry as long as her husband is alive, because that man that took her virginity is her husband in the sight of the Most High. The man that took her virginity is her husband in the sight of the Most High. That man that took her virginity is her husband. And no other man can marry her as long as that man that took her virginity is alive. That's why Paul said that, or Christ, Yeshua said that you cannot marry a woman who is put away. Put away by who? Put away by the man that took her virginity. Because according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, 22, 28 and 29, according to Deuteronomy chapter 22, 28 and 29, the man that takes the virginity of a woman becomes her husband. So there are translations that will tell you that if a man lays with a woman, if a man rapes a girl, then he has to marry her. God forbid. No. A man is not rewarded for raping a woman by making her marry her. So if a man wants to marry a woman and the family says no, or she says no, then all he has to do is to rape her. Think about that. That's horrible. That's not biblical. The Messiah said we have to kill rapists. You rape my daughter, I kill you. I don't have any daughter. I don't have a daughter. But if I have a daughter and you rape her, I will kill you by any means possible. Because that is what Israelites do. That's what Israelites do. The Shechemites came to, they came and took Dinah. A man took Dinah without consulting her father. He took Dinah, went and had sex with her, and then came back. She was how old? I forgot how old she was. Who remember how old she was? According to the scriptures. He took her, went and had sex with her, and then came back. Who remember how old she was?
She was 10.
She was 10. So imagine a man. Imagine how easy it was for her to convince her to follow him. That's Jubilees chapter 33, chapter 30, sorry. Jubilees chapter 30. That's where you see the story. If you don't have the book of Jubilee, Google it. Type in the book of Jubilees. Don't put Jubilees. You have to put the book of Jubilees into Google. The book of Jubilees. Look for the one that comes from the truth of Yahweh. That's a very good translation. If you Google the book of Jubilee, you're going to see different translations. The best translation is the book of from the truth of Yahweh. No, not truth of Yahweh. Yahweh's sword. Yahweh's sword. If you Google the book of Jubilee, go to the link that say Yahweh's sword. So the best thing is to Google the book of Jubilees. You put Yahweh, Yahweh's sword, sword, like battle sword, Yahweh's sword. They have the very good translation with the real name of our Heavenly Father, and that translation is well translated. This man took this young woman, went and laid with her, and then came back to her father and said, oh, I would like to marry your daughter. The Israelite killed the Shechemite. I don't have any daughter. If you rape my daughter, if I have one and you rape one, and then you come and say you want to marry her, I won't even say anything to you. I'm not going to shout at you. I'm not going to yell at you. But I will make sure that you're dead. Because that is the punishment for the men that rape women. So why are we seeing in NIV, he's saying that if a man rape a girl, then he can marry her? That's rubbish. A man come to your house. I am so and so and so. I'm from this place. Please, I would like to marry your daughter. You investigate the man. You decide, no, I don't want you to marry my granddaughter. I don't want you to marry my daughter. I don't want you to marry my relative. The man will say, okay, thank you very much. And then the man will leave. And then the man will target your daughter or your granddaughter and then rape her and then came back. Oops, sorry. I know you said no, but now I raped her. I need to have her because the Bible said so. No. But that's the idea you get when you read NIV. That's the idea you get. It's not just NIV. Look, it says rape. Let me show you more translations that says the same thing. There are more translations that say that nonsense. If a man rape a woman, then he can marry her. What kind of world are we going to have? Where a man wants a woman, all you have to do is go rape her. Just rape her and then you get her. That's rubbish. But why do we have this rubbish? Because of bad translation. Bad translations. Bad translation. Look, this one says the same thing. And a man forces her to have sex with him. Forces her. That's rape. That's rape. Forces her. God's word translation. This is what you must do when a man rapes a virgin who isn't engaged. When the crime is discovered, he must marry her. That's what they're saying. Look at International Standard Version. However, if a man meets a girl who isn't engaged to be married and he seizes her, rapes her, and he's later found out, they're saying that he has to marry her. These are different translations saying this rubbish. This is why we need our own translation to correct all this nonsense. Our people, when they come into the truth, they shouldn't be reading all this garbage. It's not okay for us to, our eyes to open. We come into the truth. We start reading a white man's translation. That's not okay. But we don't have any choice right now because that's all we got right now. Most of the time, that's easiest to get. It's much easier to get it, to get KJV, New King James Version, International Standard Version, a New Living Translation. These are all white man's translation with bunch of horrible translations. Most people don't even understand what I'm talking about. When you read it, you accept whatever you see. I pray that Yah will strengthen us and give us the ability to be able to have our own translation. That takes me back to the point, which is Deuteronomy chapter 24. I've shown you examples where you see that people totally misunderstand it. Let me make it clear again. Moses was not asking men to divorce their wife in Deuteronomy 24. All Moses was trying to say is that if a man divorces his wife, or for whatever reason, if another man have sex with your wife, you cannot take your wife back. You cannot take your wife back. Once another man lay with your wife, that's it. You can never have sex with her again. Let me show it to you right now in the book of Jubilees that I mentioned earlier. This is how you get to the right translation of the book of Jubilee. This is how you get to it. So you go to Google, you type in the book of Jubilee. The book of Jubilee. Then you have to type in Yahweh's sword. Like I mentioned, you have to type in Yahweh's sword. The book of Jubilees. Let me search it from here so you'll be able to see it much better. The book of Jubilees, Yahweh's sword. Yahweh's sword. That's how you get to the right translation. You click on it, it takes you, the first link you see is Yahweh's sword. Yahweh's sword. They have a very good translation of the book of Jubilees. Then you download it. You can actually download it. You click and it allows you to download it on your system. So, and it's actually very small. You can download it on your phone. It's very, very, very small. It's not going to take much space. So let's get to verse 33 so I can show you what I'm talking about. And then we're going to close this section from there. We're going to close it. I'm going to close with this verse 33. We're going to look at verse 8 and 9. It says, Reuben laid with Bilhah and uncovered his father's skirt. So basically what happened here was that Reuben, the first son of Jacob, had sex with his father's wife. Reuben had sex with Bilhah, his father's wife. And that's what happened here. And look at what she said. He is not supposed to have sex with his father's wife. But look what happened. Look at what she told her husband. I'm going to read verse 8 and verse 9. And when Jacob or Jacob, you see how it's translated. Why with Y. In the white man's translation, in the European translation, you see J. That's why I recommend this translation when it comes to the book of Jubilee. See how it says Y instead of J. So verse 8, when Jacob, and Jacob was exceedingly wroth. Let me start from uh, verse 7. And when Jacob returned and sought her, she said to him, I am not clean for you, for I have been defiled as regards you. So Jacob came back from travel. He traveled. And when he came back, he wanted to have sex with Bilhah. He wanted to have sex with Bilhah. And Bilhah told her husband, no, I have been defiled. I am defiled. I am not clean. I have been defiled. So you can no longer have sex with me. For Reuben has defiled me. Reuben has defiled me and has lain with me in the night, and I was asleep and did not discover until he uncovered my skirt and slept with me. Verse 8, and Jacob was exceedingly wroth with Reuben because he had lain with Bilhah, because he had uncovered his father's skirt, because the Mosiah told us not to do it in Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus chapter 18, we are warned not to sleep with our father's wife. Typically, our fathers usually have more than one wife. Our fathers usually have 2, 3, 4, 5 wives. And the Most High gave us a law not to have sex with our father's wife. This is not talking about our mother. It's talking about our father's wife, not to have sex with her. That was a law in Leviticus chapter 18. So he said that in verse 9, and Jacob did not approach her again because Reuben had defiled her. And as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before Yahweh. So the reason why I came to the book of Jubilee is because you see that her husband never had sex with her again, and Jacob did not approach her again because Reuben had defiled her. Bilhah was Jacob's wife. When Reuben had sex with her, her husband never touched her again. When Reuben had sex with her, her husband never touched her sexually again. That brings me back to the law in Deuteronomy 24. That is what Moses was trying to say. That is the law that Moses was giving Israelites in Deuteronomy 24. Then her former husband who divorced her must not take her back to be his wife after she's been defiled. For this is an abomination before Yahweh. So that's what Moses was trying to say. The point is, for whatever reason, if another man lay with your wife, that's it. You cannot take her back. You cannot have sex with her again because she's been defiled. So all praises to our Heavenly Father for giving us understanding to understand this. If you happen to watch this thing online, if you happen to watch this online and you have any question, I am open. You can call me, you can contact me as long as I'm still here. If I haven't joined my ancestors, I will definitely answer your call. So for those that do have any question regarding this, because this is highly, highly misunderstood, I hear people quote Deuteronomy 24 to justify and say that a man can put away his wife and she can go and become another man's wife. No, absolutely not. Christ told you in Matthew 5:32, Matthew 5:32, and also Matthew 19:9, Matthew 19:9, Matthew chapter 19 verse 9, and Matthew 5:32, that if you marry a woman who is put away, you're committing adultery because she's defiled. So all praises to our Heavenly Father for giving us understanding to understand this. Like as I said, if you happen to come across this and you have any question, you're more than welcome to give me a call. So thank you. All right. So basically, I was pointing out how these people are being taught. They are being taught that a priest shouldn't have a wife. A priest should not have a wife. And this thing breeds homosexuality. This teaching brings homosexuality. These modern day Canaanites, these Babylonians that bring this rubbish to us, they don't have good intention. As I showed you in that video. I showed you on the video and you heard what they said. This is not God's law. It's not God's law. Our brothers don't know this. Our brothers don't know this. They just don't know this. Our brothers do not know this. Because when these animals come into Africa, there's a way that they portray this thing. And it's presented as if you're serving God. I think that one of the saddest part is the women, the one for the women, what they do to the women. That's really, really sad. What do I mean by that? Because if you remember what I read earlier, I think it was First Timothy, right? First Timothy that said that she should be saved through childbearing. First Timothy 2:15. First Timothy 2:15 said that yet she will be saved through childbearing. So it's very important for a woman to get to have children. In order for a woman to have children, she has to have a husband. She has to have a husband. Our people are deceived into this lifestyle, into becoming Catholic nuns, becoming reverend sisters, reverend fathers, and they don't have children. Even though First Timothy chapter 2:15 says that a woman have to have a child. Now, if a woman is barren and she couldn't conceive, that's different. It's not her fault. It is not her fault. But a woman that can conceive and refuse to have children, then that's a problem. These women are suffering. They are suffering. I think that they suffer more emotionally. They suffer more emotionally. You see, because we, the men, were created differently. We are created differently. We can be without a wife. I don't have a wife. I do not have a wife. Like, like that, we cannot. Is it a good thing? No. Do I want to be this way? No. But that's the circumstances because I want to do it Yah's way. I want to do it God's way. Is it easy to do? No. But it's far much easier for us men because we are not as emotional as women. We are not as emotional as women. We are when it comes to creating, procreating, women are much, much closer when it comes to procreating. They are the one, all we do is to drop the sperm. We drop the sperm. She's the one that carries the sperm. She's the one that fertilizes it. She's the one that carries the pregnancy. She's the one that gives birth to the baby. She's the one that nurtures the baby. When it comes to populating this earth, women are very much involved. Of course, we know that without them, it's impossible to populate the earth. Without women, we cannot be here. Nobody will be here in this world. So when it comes to that concept, when it comes to that idea that the Most High had, that we should populate the earth, women are very much involved. So when you deny a woman her God-given right to have children, and you deceive her into abandoning that God's will, she will suffer emotionally. She will suffer. She will suffer. I pray that Yah, the Most High God, will provide me with bunch of reverend fathers and reverend sisters that will join me in this ministry, that will join me, because I don't just want to go around in churches and showing them the truth. I go around to churches showing them the truth about the Most High. It's not just my desire. I would also like to go around to reverend fathers and reverend sisters and show them the truth. The women suffer the most emotionally. They suffer because at some point in their life, you see, at some point in their life, they begin to have desire to be a mother. They begin to develop motherly tendencies. They begin to desire to be a mom. They want to be a mom. There comes a time in their life. There comes a time in their life. There comes a time in their life when they go to bed at night. Man, you cannot change what the Most High have established. You cannot do it. It's impossible. We are trying and we are failing miserably. Everything that the Most High, our Creator, have established that we have tried to change, we have failed miserably. That is why I have given up on the worldly system. The way of the Most High, the law of the Most High is the only way. The laws and the commandment of the Most High is the only way. This is what women are supposed to do. This is what it means to be a woman. This is what it means to be a woman. She is experiencing it. She is not going to experience it. The closest she can come is to be holding a baby produced by another woman. She's a human being. She's a woman. At some point, I know they are going to deny it. Most reverend sisters will deny it. But secret, if you talk about it openly, they will say, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. I love being a reverend sister. I love being a nun. You're wrong. I am happy. Blah, 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 blah. That's rubbish. You're not happy. You're not happy. But you're scared. You are ashamed. Because if you quit, that means that you have given up. That's what you think. This is what the Most High created women to do, to reproduce. Our people have been deceived and denied this goal, this will of the Most High. They've been denied having this. They go to bed crying. At some point in their life, they start asking themselves, what have I gotten myself into? Because once in a while, it could be once a month, it could be once every 2 months. For some people, it could be once every week. She is going crazy. What does she want? Sex. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Why? Because the Most High created sex, but she cannot have it. Or she can have it, but she's gonna start, she's gonna start looking for a Christian pastor, another, uh, uh, you know, reverend father or something that she's gonna go to, because he's been deceived also. If they both have sex, he's not gonna tell anyone. He's not gonna expose himself. She's not gonna expose him. They are both. See, oh my good man, man. If I see Satan, if I see Satan on the judgment day, I'm going to ask the Most High, please, Father, even if I'm going to hell, Father, please give me one opportunity. Just allow me to give Satan a dirty slap. I want to see Satan and I want to give him a slap. That's all I'm asking. Even if I'm going to go to hell, I would like to get a chance to go to Satan where that place that he's sitting. Because the book of Isaiah tells us that people are going to see him. And people are going to say, wow, is this the man that have deceived the whole world? People are going to see Satan and they are going to see, wow, so this is the one that deceived the world. Yeah, people are going to be saying that nonsense. What I'm going to do is that I want to give him a slap. I would like to give Satan a dirty slap. And I'm going to ask him, yeah, please allow me. Forgive me. I'll just give me a chance. Authorize it. Let me go and give Satan a dirty slap. Why? Because of stuff like this. Look at the deception that has happened. Let me show you the deception. Let me show you the deception. You lie to this man and tell him that he cannot have a wife if he's going to serve God. You lie to him from a very young age. You deceive him. You brainwash him. You lured him into that. You lured him by deceiving the parents to send them to become an altar boy. You don't say anything about being a priest. You just tell them to send them to become an altar boy. From there, you brainwash them into becoming a priest. And then now they become a priest. Now they cannot have a wife. Even though the Most High said that a priest can have a wife. The Most High said that a priest can have a wife. The wife just has to be a virgin. The priest can have a wife according to the law of the Most High. He shall take a wife in her virginity. A priest can have a wife, but you deceive this man into not having a wife. Now, let me show you the deception. Let me show you why I say that I would like to give Satan a dirty slap on that day. Look, you deceive this man into thinking that he cannot have a wife, but he is a man. His body is still producing sperm. His body is still manufacturing sperm. His body doesn't care whether he has a wife or not. He's going to make sperm. So at some point, he desires sex, but he cannot have a wife. You deceive this woman from childhood to become a reverend sister, and she cannot have a husband. Even though the Bible says that women will be saved through childbearing. Do you see what's going on here? The law said that a priest can have a wife, but she has to be a virgin. They say, no, you can't. The Bible said that a woman has to have children. You tell them, no, if you're going to serve God, you cannot have children. Her body is still working the way it's supposed to. At some point, once a month, or once a week, or once every 3 months, she goes crazy. She wants sex, but she cannot have it. Then you bring two of them in the same environment called church, a whole house. Church is a whole house. Christian churches are whole houses. You bring all of these people together, they're going crazy sexually. They're working together. Before you know it, they start having sex. Why are they more likely to have sex? Why? Let me tell you why they are more likely to have sex. Why? These two people. Like as I explained before, he is less likely to go outside to look for sex. Less likely. Because he's scared that the person that he has sex with might expose him. She is scared to go outside to have sex because she is scared that the person he has sex might expose him. The best person for her to have sex with, if she wants to keep it secret, is him. Same thing with him and her. Before you know it, they start having sex because he has guaranteed. Because she is scared, just like he is scared to get exposed. So in his mind, the safest person to have sex with when it comes to protecting himself and not being exposed is her, a reverend sister. That's the safest, because he has guarantee. He has 100% guarantee that if he has sex with her and anything goes wrong, that she will never expose him, because exposing him means exposing herself. Do you understand that? Exposing, he knows that. He knows that the best person to have sex with is a reverend sister. She will never expose him. And it is guaranteed. There is a guarantee that if she happens to become pregnant, she will have an abortion, because she's not about to have a baby and expose herself and humiliate herself and disgrace herself. There's a lot of sex that goes on in these churches. There's a lot of sex that goes on in these churches. There's a lot of sex that goes on in these churches. This is sad. Very, very sad. Very, very, very sad. We need to try our best to do whatever we need to do. I'll definitely put that on my, I will definitely try harder. I will try harder. When I see a reverend sister, I like to make contact. It's a process. I want to put in more time, create resources, create information that can be passed out. You can just give it, you can pass it out and share it out so that our people will begin to think. Because yes, he may not be having sex out in the world. They are having a lot of sex inside there with all these reverend sisters. I'm telling you. They are having a lot of sex, because they're all working together. They're all working together. Meanwhile, you have the pervert, you have the degenerate that don't even go after the reverend sisters. They go after the young boys. They go after the young men. The whole thing was a scandal in America. It was a scandal. Now, what was the Catholic Church doing in America at that time? What was the Catholic Church doing? What they were doing is that if a reverend father gets caught having sex with boys, they don't fire him. They just move him to a different parish. That was what they were doing. They will move the reverend father to a different parish. They were doing this. And a boy that has been deceived into having sex, his life will never be the same again. His life will never be the same. His life will never be the same. Oftentimes, these boys go on to become a full-fledged homosexual. A homosexual is made. A homosexual is not born. Nobody is born gay. Nobody is born gay. It's people are made to become that. People are made to become that. I was I had a conversation with a woman yesterday, and she got a phone call that her son was touching another child in her private part. And this woman was so worried, and she kept telling me that this is not normal, that for her son, who is 4 years old, for her son to touch another child in their private part, that means that somebody has been touching her son. That's what she was telling me. She's like, her son cannot do this. If her son is doing this, somebody must be touching her son. That's what she was telling me. I don't know who this woman is. I met her for the first time yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I met her. And while I was with her, somebody called her on the phone. She got a phone call. She got a phone call, and the person on the phone told her that her son was touching another child. That's what the person was telling her on the phone. Because she was leaving her son somewhere for somebody to look after her son while she goes to work. She went to work and she left her son somewhere. So the place that she left her son, that place apparently her son was with another child over there. So, but her point to me was that, like, that for her son to do this means that somebody may have been touching her son. That's why her son did it. So the point is that oftentimes these things do start from a very young age. The life of a boy will never be the same if he is if he is if he is um manipulated and deceived into doing such a thing. Because you know how the world is today. All people care today is money, 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 money. And with money, anybody can do anything. People can do anything with money because of money. So when people, you know, that's why this is such a huge problem in America with all those Catholic scandal, sex scandal that was huge in America at that time. And it's still happening till today. It's happening in Africa too. So these men, a lot of these men actually goes on to start spoiling the boys. They become homosexual. The only way, I mean, it's not that easy for a man to become okay not having a wife. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. A man is a man. And then you have an environment where they are also surrounded by people who are also in the same shoe that they're in. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. So we have to try to reach our people however possible we can reach them with information. To try to rescue them is part of the warfare. Those that deceive us have come and deceived us. They came and they deceived us. The Europeans, the Canaanites, the modern day Canaanites, the Babylonians have deceived us. We whose eyes are open will try our best to help our people understand these things. Like as I said before, in closing, if you happen to, be interested, that's definitely something that I want to expand in the future. I want to expand it, at least, if not for nothing, online. Just spend some time and create a very good information online, 15, 20, 30-minute video with lots of good information about, this topic, something that people can easily take and share. So I definitely need people who are interested in this kind of thing, because like I always say, the whole world is the is the is the is the field of the Most High. If I am in my area and doing my thing, and you're in your area doing your thing, that's how we do it. But we have to go beyond just keeping the law. At some point, we have to graduate and go beyond that, and actually go into the part of serving the Most High. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. It's a very sad situation that we find ourselves. This is one of the problems we have to deal with, because these are our people are suffering. These people are actually suffering. The truth is that they're actually suffering. Yeah, they are suffering and they're smiling. They are suffering and they are smiling. They are not happy. They are not happy. They will get out. A lot of them are stuck. And the worst part of it is that men are not even talking to them. Men don't go to them. Men don't talk to them. The only men that they interact with are the reverend fathers, who are also in the same shoe. And these reverend fathers are not going to marry them. The reverend father is not going to marry her. He's not going to marry her. They just end up just having sex for nothing. Just have sex, no marriage. Secret sex. Secret sex. And then she keeps on doing it. He keeps on doing it. Eventually they get older. They get used to it. Eventually they get used to being miserable. They get used to being lonely. It's not normal. The Most High did not create us to be like this. That's not okay. As you can see, she's much, much older. She's the oldest. She's much older. But now they have this young one that joined them. This is horrible. And they're all victims, both men and women. They're all victims. This is not their fault. They were caught from a very young age, very, very young age. You are caught, you know. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. I pray that we will work hard, try to rescue as many as we can, but also create other people that will continue the work after us, because the work will continue. I'm happy that Christianity is dying. I'm very happy about that. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. I give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. This is a call for action. Don't keep quiet. Whatever you can do to share information wherever you are. Um, I really wish that I already have something put together already. As of now, it depends on when you're watching this video. So I will definitely try to put something together. But we have to do something about this to rescue our people. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Give the Most High all the glory and all the honor.
From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you for watching this video. I would like to add this information because it's very, very important. If you are a reverend sister and you are still a virgin, if you are still a virgin, you can actually get married. If you are still physically a virgin, meaning that no man has laid with you ever. But if you are no longer a virgin, if you are a reverend sister and you are no longer a virgin, then you cannot remarry, or that man that took your virginity became your husband. Because according to the scriptures, according to our Creator, biblically, the way He commanded us, whoever takes a woman's virginity becomes her husband. Whoever takes a girl's virginity is her husband in the sight of God. So if you have already lost your virginity, that man that took your virginity became your husband. If you have already had sex with multiple men, then you cannot remarry. According to the scriptures, you are actually defiled. A woman is supposed to have sex with one man at a time. Then that man that took your virginity, when he dies, then you can remarry. Somebody else can marry you. When the man that took your virginity, the man that takes your virginity, when he dies, that means that you are a widow. Then you can remarry. But if you have already lost your virginity and other men have laid with you, multiple men, more than one man have had sex with you, you cannot remarry, unfortunately. That's biblical. You can look at all these scriptures. You can also contact me. You're more than welcome to give me a call, and I will be more than happy to talk to you on the phone. Feel free to contact me. If you are still a virgin, you were a virgin, you became a reverend sister, and you are still a virgin, your hymen is still intact, no man has ever penetrated you sexually. If you are still a virgin, you can remarry. You can have a husband. And also, to my brothers, to the men who are reverend fathers or priests, you can have a wife. That's biblical. You can have a wife. Remember, you have to marry a virgin, because according to the scriptures, you're supposed to marry a virgin or a widow. The only woman you can marry is a virgin. Even the book of Isaiah says that You see that in the book of Isaiah and many other scriptures, many scriptures. So you're supposed to marry a virgin or a widow. So a widow is a girl who is a virgin and somebody marries her. Somebody marries her, and then when that person dies, then you can marry her. So a widow is a virgin that gets married. Her husband that took her virginity dies, then now she's a widow. Then you can marry her. So as a man, you're supposed to marry a virgin. A virgin. I highly and strongly encourage you to reconsider your profession. Reconsider your profession, both to you, my brother, and to you, my sister. Reconsider it. If you feel happy, you're happy, and you want to continue what you're doing, it's up to you. But unfortunately, it's a man-made law. It's a man-made ideology. It's the Europeans that came up with this idea of being a reverend father or a reverend sister. It's not biblical. And what you should be doing, or what we should be doing, I should say us, what we should be doing is that we should focus on promoting the keeping of the God's law. We should focus on keeping God's law and encouraging our people to keep God's law. That is how we serve God. Christ promoted God's law. We are supposed to focus on promoting God's law, keeping God's law, and teaching our people to keep God's law. That is how we serve God. And you can have a husband while you do that. You can have a wife while you do that. There is nothing wrong with having a husband or a wife as long as you marry them properly, the way the Most High told us. A man is supposed to marry a virgin. A girl is supposed to keep her virginity until her wedding night. The Most High gave us a law. A girl is supposed to keep her virginity until her wedding night. So you cannot marry a girl that had lost her virginity and had been with multiple men. You are not supposed to marry her. If you marry her according to Christ, you are committing adultery because she's been put away by the man that took her virginity. You're supposed to marry a virgin. Let me leave you with this scripture or this place in the Bible. You remember that when Joseph wanted to marry Mary, Mary was a virgin, right? Mary was a virgin. But as soon as Joseph found out, or Joseph thought that Mary was no longer a virgin, according to Matthew 1:18 and 19. Matthew 1:18 and 19, Joseph wanted to quietly put Mary away. Why did he want to put her away? Because he was supposed to marry a virgin. Joseph knew that God wants us to marry virgins, and Mary was a virgin, but Mary became pregnant through the power of the Holy Spirit that the Most High sent. The Most High made Mary a virgin, just like the Most High created Adam and Eve in the beginning. Our Heavenly Father created Adam and Eve the same way He also made Mary to become a virgin, become a pregnant, and gave birth to Christ. So the way you know that what I'm telling you is the truth is the fact that Joseph wanted to put Mary away. Why did he want to put Mary away? Mary was betrothed to Joseph. Why did he want to put her away? Because Joseph thought that Mary was no longer a virgin. And he wanted to put her away because he knew that he is not supposed to marry a woman who is not a virgin. So look into these scriptures and feel free to give me a call. If you have any question, I will be more than happy to talk to you. Definitely, from the bottom of my heart, I will be more than happy to talk to you. Feel free to save my number, possibly contact me through WhatsApp. Okay, thank you very much, and I thank our Heavenly Father for everything, and I look forward to hearing from anyone that would like to talk to me. It's not just Reverend Father or Reverend Sister. Any brother or sister that would like to talk to me, as long as I'm alive, I will be more than happy to discuss these things with you. Remember, if you're a brother, a Reverend Father, you have to marry a virgin. Marry a virgin. That's the will of God, for us to marry a virgin. Be like Joseph. Be like Joseph in Matthew chapter 1. You see that when he realizes that when he thought that Mary was no longer a virgin, he wanted to put Mary away, because the Most High God requires us to marry a virgin. If you're a reverend sister, if you're a sister, I love you, my sister. That's why I'm sharing this truth with you. So the thing is, if you are still a virgin, you can have a husband. Somebody can marry you. But if you are no longer a virgin, if you have lost your virginity and you've been with multiple men, other men have had sex with you in the past, no, you cannot have a husband. You cannot have a husband, because whoever marries you is actually committing adultery. The person is committing adultery, because Christ said that whoever marries a woman who is put away is committing adultery. So you have to keep yourself the way you have been keeping yourself. Don't worry about getting married. Continue serving God, but you can do it in a much proper way by teaching His law, teaching His commandment, trying to wake up your other sisters who don't understand these things. I give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. And again, I thank you so much for listening. You're spending your time to listen to this information, and feel free to contact me if you have any question. All praises to our Heavenly Father.
Thank you for your interest in this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through WhatsApp. You can call us or send us a message. You can also email us at lawstogod@gmail.com. Check out our website at www.lawstogodskingdom.com. Download our mobile app from the Android store. Search for Laws to God app. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for Laws to God. Don't forget, you can also use Skype to call us. Just download Skype on your phone and search for Laws to God. If you are in South Africa and you need a congregation to worship with, give us a call. For more information that we don't have here on YouTube, please download our app and check out our website, www.lawstogodskingdom.com. Help us spread this truth by sharing this video on your social media.